Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call?
Councilmember Brand. Councilmember Brandow. Councilmember Capriolio. Here. Councilmember Olivier. Councilmember Quintero. Councilmember Soria. And Council President Baines.
Here. We will now have the invocation by Pastor Kevin Foster of the LifeBridge Community Church, and we're all going to stand and remain standing because afterward we will salute the flag.
God, we just thank you so much for this beautiful day, Lord. We thank you for the rain that we've had recently, and we do continue to pray for more rain for our precious valley, Lord. We thank you so much that in the Bible it says that there's wisdom in the multitude of counselors, and I just pray that as the multitude of counselors have gathered today, that your wisdom would be present, that your divine wisdom would help us, give us strength, help us to know what to do, Lord, and when to do it. We thank you so much that you can do that, and that you give your wisdom graciously and generously to us. In the Heavenly Father's name we pray. Amen.
Please face the flag. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag. All right, thank you. Now we'll go through several ceremonial presentations this morning. First up, we're going to have the presentation of the SPCA Pet of the Month by Councilmember Olivier.
I love it. This cat looks like my cat's daughter. I'll show you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Good morning, everyone.
Look at this little cat.
Hi.
Feisty cat.
Yeah.
Now, what do they call this? A calico cat?
Calico because of the white that's on the cat. The black and orange ones are tortoiseshells.
Oh, okay. Okay, so because there's white makes it a calico. See, you learn new things every day, and I didn't know that. Can I hold? Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a girl. Her name is Isabel.
Isabel. How old is Isabel?
About 2 months now. She arrived at the shelter as a little stray, and she was too young to go out into a home.
Oh no! Do you know how much I paid for this suit? Gosh. No, I'm just kidding. It's a cheap suit. Anyway, so what were you saying?
So yeah, she arrived at the shelter as a little stray, of course, and she was too young to go out into a home for adoption. So luckily she found a foster home, and now she's ready for adoption over there at the shelter.
Okay, that's fantastic. And are you running a cat special, or what's the adoption fee?
Yeah, we should be running one this weekend.
Oh, seriously, they do run cat special.
Yeah, the details on the specials right now, we're going to prove them later on today. And it's for the Home and Garden Show, of course. And hopefully it's a good special. Right now to adopt Isabel, though, it's $77 for today, and that should change as of tomorrow.
Do you want to say something? No? Well, I own a cat, and I have a cat at home, and I know that we have the biggest cat lover in the city of Fresno right there, Councilmember Steve Brandow. Do you want another one?
Cat literally looks like my cat's daughter.
Well,
I'm really tempted to take this kitten right here.
Probably is.
You should. The SPCA does fantastic work in our community, and they have for many years. And so we're very lucky to have them, but we still have a homeless pet population problem in our community. And the more we can get adopted out, the better. So thank you very much for all your good work. And Isabel, good luck getting a home. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Olivier. Sounds like the cat may have a home brewing here. Next, we'll have a proclamation of Fresno Community Master Quarrel by City Council Member Capriolio.
Thank you, Council President, and good morning, everyone. This is a great event and a great time for the City of Fresno, and we've got something very special coming up on March 22nd. So I'd like to ask Alan Peters, I have to read this because it's lengthy, the President of the Board of Directors of the Fresno Community Chorus. Alan, how are you? Jeff Brugstahler, who is the Chair of the Alzheimer's Stories Steering Committee and member of the Board of Directors of the Fresno Community Chorus. Am I doing okay? Thank you. And, of course, Anna Hamre. Come up, Anna, please. the artistic director of the Fresno Community Chorus Master Choral, and they're going to join me. And if you'd like to have somebody else come up, they're more than welcome, or we can. Okay, we'll do that in a moment. So I'm really excited about this particular event and what we're trying to do today. Alzheimer's disease affects so many families and so many people in so many ways. And for me personally, my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's 10 years ago, and we lost him 7 years ago last month. So it's very, I understand the impact it has on families and friends and the Alzheimer patient themselves. And it's a tough struggle. And I think with you and your group, we have new hope through music. And as they advised me earlier, the last two segments of your memory are love and music. And so this group has put together a fabulous program, March 22nd. I don't want to steal your thunder, but it is going to integrate music with Alzheimer's and the impact it has and how to deal with these issues. And I'm really looking forward to it. I have my tickets, and I will be there. And Alan, if you'd explain a little bit more to us.
It's a pleasure to be with you today and to thank the Council for proclaiming March the 22nd as the Power of Music Day. Alzheimer's has really only been diagnosed as an ailment since 1901, when Dr. Alois Alzheimer in Frankfurt, Germany, came across a patient who was progressively losing her memory. She even in her interview said, "I have lost myself." And I think that those of us that are getting up in years have always thought as we got older and our bodies got frailer that at least our final years would be happy because we'd have a lot of wonderful memories to remember. Well, Alzheimer's disease takes that away from you. You have no memory. And that creates a tremendous concern for families, friends, caregivers in the community, because these people really need to have some basis for their own identity, and they've lost most of that through the disease. Medical research has recently shown that people have an amazing response in Alzheimer's centers when they have earphones put on and iPods provided that play the music that they have heard during their lifetime. And there is a movie, it won the Sundance Movie Festival Award, that's called Alive Inside, that shows people that are deeply depressed, withdrawn, some hostile, all of them with memory loss, hearing music and responding with happiness and joy, and it's now become one of the primary treatment modalities for dealing with Alzheimer's disease. So Robert Cohen, composer from New Jersey, has written a major work for choir, orchestra, and soloists called Alzheimer's Stories. And the Fresno Community Chorus Master Chorale will be presenting that on Sunday afternoon, March the 22nd. And just as Councilman Capriolio said, it ends with a wonderful appeal to caregivers to sing anything, because music brings back the memories of these people, has a wonderful way of doing that. And so we as a chorus are very pleased to present this, and we're allied with many community organizations that have just responded to our presenting this work. And San Joaquin Garden, the terraces at San Joaquin Gardens, is underwriting the concert. We have present in the chambers today many members of the chorus, members of the chorus board, and representatives of the organizations that are helping with this concert. And I'd like to introduce Jessica Lopez, who is the, I think, Public Relations Director for Executive Director, for San Joaquin Gardens. The terrace is there, and she has a special invitation to make herself.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We here at the terraces at San Joaquin Gardens were ecstatic to partner with the Fresno Community Master Chorale, especially because being Fresno's oldest and now newest continuing care retirement community, we have a level of care dedicated to folks with Alzheimer's and dementia. We use music therapy every day to really champion their quality of life, to provide nurturing opportunities to nurture their spirit. And for me personally, I started my career working with older adults in retirement at 18 years old. And my first memory is working with a resident with Alzheimer's who passed away about a year after working with her. Every day when I helped her to bed, I sang to her, "Yes, Jesus loves me." And that was what calmed her down and allowed me to help her to bed with ease, because we know there's behaviors and it can be upsetting. Folks don't understand what's happening. When she was on hospice and passing away and hadn't really communicated, and we knew that her time was short here on this earth, I helped her to bed one last time with her husband laying next door to her and in his bed, and I put her favorite nightgown on, and with tears streaming down my face, I sang to her, "Yes, Jesus loves me." And her lips started moving in rhythm with mine. And that was my first experience realizing the power of music with folks with Alzheimer's and dementia. Excuse me, I'm getting choked up. And I will never forget that moment. And when I talked to my mom later that night, she said, "You helped her to feel loved. You made it okay for her to go." She passed away 4 hours after that moment that we shared. So I firmly believe in what this choral group is doing, and I know the power that it will have. And what I'm so excited about is it will give a forum to truly have a discussion about this disease. Because while it is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States, we're not talking about it, because there are still stigmas attached to Alzheimer's disease, and this will start a much-needed conversation in a forum that brings joy to people, and that is music. So at the Terrace at San Joaquin Gardens, you should have a handout that invites all of you to our community located at 5555 North Fresno Street. We're excited to do a virtual tour, a dementia virtual tour that will allow all of you to understand and to feel what it's like to experience Alzheimer's disease. And so we highly encourage you to come out to join and have that experience. I can guarantee that it will be something you will never forget. And how many of you have somebody that has Alzheimer's disease, dementia, family member, friend, loved one? It's worth the time for you to invest, to take a moment to put yourself in their shoes. So thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. And Alan, if you would just give us those details, March 22nd, the location.
The location is at the Paul Shagorian Performing Arts Center at North Clovis High School, sort of the corner of International and Clovis Avenue. Willow and International.
Very good, thank you.
2:30 on Sunday afternoon that day, with a presentation beforehand at 1:30, which is a presentation from the composer and Dr. Alex Sheriffs, who's a local gerontologist, part of the UC San Francisco Alzheimer's and Memory Center. So he will give some of the clinical aspects. Mr. Cohen will give some of the musical aspects for this wonderful work that will be performed that afternoon.
Thank you, Alan. And would you read the proclamation for us, please?
Whereas the difficult task of facing the special challenges of Alzheimer's disease has confronted many individuals and families within the city of Fresno and has become a service opportunity for a wide array of community organizations and health organizations. And whereas health researchers around the world have discovered that the use of music as a treatment tool has brought new comfort, energy, enjoyment, and hope to the lives of those experiencing the serious impact of Alzheimer's disease. And whereas a recently composed choral work, Alzheimer's Stories, has been composed by Robert Cohen, chronicling, number one, the number of individuals and families which have confronted this disease since its identification by Dr. Alois Alzheimer in 1902. Number two, the touching experiences and stories of those touched by the disease. And number three, the enormous challenges placed upon those for the victims of Alzheimer's disease, including the new opportunities for using music to bring hope to both victims and caretakers, since love and music are the last things to go. And whereas the Fresno Community Chorus Master Choral will be presenting Northern California premiere performance of this choral work on March 22nd, 2015, at concert entitled The Power of Music, Alzheimer's Stories, underwritten by the Terrace at San Joaquin Gardens in our great city of Fresno and many other senior serving agencies and organizations within Fresno community. Now therefore be it resolved that we, Mayor Ashley Swearingen, and the Fresno City Council members do by proclaim March 5th, 2015 to be the Power of Music Day in the city of Fresno.
Congratulations, Alan. If those that are a part of this event, if you'd like to come forward, we'd like to take a group photograph of everybody that's involved. So don't be shy. Come on up. Come up, and we'll come this way, and we'll all gather around and celebrate this moment. This is your day in the city of Fresno. Yes.
All right. It's on. It's on.
I do that all the time with my kids. Don't worry. We tend to make that mistake. Yeah. It seemed to be on. Thank you all. Thank you all very much, and congratulations again. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Capriolio. Next, we will have a proclamation of National Nutrition Month by Councilmember Brand, followed by the Wellbeing Senior Solutions Day by Councilmember Brand.
The nutrition people here, come on up. And this is so appropriate as we had sausage, bacon, biscuits, and gravy. But seriously, you know, nutrition is really important, which I'm sure you're going to tell us about. And as you get older, like I am, it's more and more important to watch what you eat with things like adult diabetes and other diseases, heart disease, and so on. So before I have you speak, City Clerk, would you read the proclamation?
Whereas National Nutrition Month is a nutrition and information campaign created annually in March by the Academy of Nutrition and Diabetes to focus attention on the importance of making informed food choices and developing sound eating and physical activity habits. And whereas food is the substance by which life is sustained, and the type, quality, and amount of food that individuals consume each day plays a vital role in the overall health and physical fitness. And whereas there's a need for continuing nutrition education and a wide-scale effort to enhance healthy eating practices, now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council of the City of Fresno encourage all citizens to join the campaign and become concerned about the nutrition of others in the hope of achieving optimum health for both today and tomorrow, and do hereby proclaim the month of March 2015 to be National Nutrition Month in the City of Fresno.
Give him a hand, please. I want to add, my son Tommy is a registered dietitian for WIC, and I get preached on all the time. So why don't you say a few words?
Sure. Well, thank you. We want to thank the council for proclaiming March National Nutrition Month. My name's Kim Terapelli. I'm a registered dietitian. I'm also the president this year of the Central Valley District, which is part of the California Dietetic Association. And March celebrates this year taking a bite into a healthy lifestyle. That's what National Nutrition Month theme is this year. But this month and every day, as dietitians, we work in a variety of different fields. so including community programs such as WIC. We work in working with patients that have diabetes, heart disease. We work with patients that are trying to maintain a healthy weight. Also in specialty areas like renal nutrition, oncology, which is cancer. I work for Kaiser Permanente in the bariatric department. So we're able to work in a wide variety of areas, and every day we're trying to promote healthy nutrition, good choices, and also encouraging exercise and maintaining a healthy weight. The Central Valley District, our district spans from Bakersfield all the way to Merced, and we get to do a lot of fun community events where we educate parents, children. We get to work in schools doing cooking demos. We participate in the Stone Fruit Jubilee, which is in June every year. If you've never been to that, you might want to check it out. It's a fun event where you get to try all kinds of fresh produce that is grown right here in the valley. And then also Farm and Nutrition Day is coming up on March 20th, and that's an event where I think it's third graders from around Fresno Unified go, and we do all kinds of educational events for them, teaching them about the agriculture in our area. And so it's just a great opportunity. As dietitians, we enjoy our positions, and we love to work in our communities, and we're just super excited to be here today. I'll just let you guys say what you do.
Sure, I'll start. Go ahead. Start at the end. All right. I'm Michelle. I'm actually with DaVita Dialysis, which you guys may have seen all over the city. I work with dialysis patients, so the patients who are on this therapy, it's a life-saving therapy, and their diet is very specialized. So every day I work there full-time with my patients and try to work with their family members to make sure that they're feeling better and living as healthy as they can.
My name's Leslie Dozier. I'm a registered dietitian as well, and I work in a variety of accounts. My main account is the Fresno Heart and Surgical Hospital, and like Kim, I do a lot of bariatric work with the patients there who are having weight loss surgery. I also work at San Joaquin Valley Rehab Hospital. I have a skilled nursing facility that I work at, and so that shows you that there are so many different types of patients out there that dietitians are responsible to assist with their eating habits. So thank you again for having us and for proclaiming March National Nutrition Month. We're very proud of that.
You want to take a picture?
Your lady in the back left, so. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
There you go.
Give him a big hand, please. Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. The Dysons here. Rochelle Dyson for the Wellbeing Senior Solutions. This is Wellbeing Senior Solutions Day, and when I first saw this, I thought maybe I might be a client in a few years. They do a great service for seniors. I'll let them explain it. Before we do anything else, let's have the city clerk please read the proclamation.
Whereas, when confronted with personal experience of finding care for the elderly relatives, Rochelle Dyson and her family found it frustrating and emotionally draining. Taking this experience and transforming it into a positive resource for others led to the establishing of Wellbeing Senior Solutions, founded by Rochelle and Mark Dyson and Jason LaRussa, to fill a much-needed service. And whereas Wellbeing Senior Solutions is locally and family-owned business focusing on a market that they know well in a place where they have community, business, and family ties. And whereas Wellbeing Senior Solutions' mission is to provide the support and care to help their clients live a life on their own terms safely and independently in the comfort of their own home for as long as possible. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the mayor and the city council of the city of Fresno, do hereby extend our appreciation for the caring service you provide within our community and express best wishes for success in the years ahead. Therefore, be it resolved that we, Mayor, and the City Council of the City of Fresno, do hereby proclaim March 5th to be Wellbeing Senior Solutions Day in the City of Fresno.
Thank you, City Clerk. Please give him a big hand. And now you can explain in better words what you guys do. Okay, here you go.
First of all, thank everyone for this award. Obviously, this is a huge honor. For those of you, there's been a lot of things that have been said, but basically what we do is we provide care for seniors to allow them to age in place, wherever that might be, and at the entire time of us doing this, just treating them with respect and dignity. Now, there's also a balancing act because there's employees that are tremendously responsible for this award as well, because obviously there's 3 of us. We have a couple of our office staff in the obviously in the audience, but the bottom line is this: we take a holistic approach and we care for the mind, body, and soul. And we've been doing this for a very, very long time now, and it's taken us a while to figure it all out. But we're there, and you know, it just it's a big honor to receive this award. And thank you once again.
I just want to thank you. This is a great honor for us, and we really appreciate a special thanks to Gail. She always puts us out there, and we do appreciate you and everybody in the office staff and all the caregivers too. So,
You want to take a picture? Yeah, yes, of course. Where you guys located? Where's your office? Oh, yeah, in my district. Oh, here. Take your time. Are you stepping here? Please give him a big hand. Thank you. You're next, Paul.
Thanks, Todd. All right, next up we have National Agriculture Week, and I'm going to be presenting a proclamation for that. Do I have the representatives from the Farm Bureau here? Yes, thank you. Come on up. So it's very fitting that Fresno County, that City of Fresno, recognized National Agriculture Week, and that we have such a robust one here in Fresno County. I want to give you guys an opportunity to tell our guests a little bit about it.
Thank you, Council President Baines, for introducing this proclamation today. My name is Courtney Sorensen, and I'm excited to be here on behalf of the Fresno County Farm Bureau to celebrate Fresno County's #1 industry, which is agriculture. The partnership between the City of Fresno and local agriculture is vital to our region's economy. Agriculture provides almost everything we eat, use, and wear on a daily basis. In Fresno County, more than 400 crops are grown and on more than 5,600 farms. Agriculture is the driving force in our local economy, and the City of Fresno continues to support this industry by being home to over 100 food processors. The annual Fresno Food Expo is a great showcase of our region's bounty. Thank you so much again for your recognition of National Agriculture Week, which is actually the week of March 16th, and then we have our Farm and Nutrition Day on Friday, March 20th.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Reed Bevington. I'm the Interim Associate Dean for the Jordan College of Agricultural Sciences and Technology at Fresno State. So thank you very much for having doing this proclamation and allowing us to be here and share a little of the exciting things that we're doing at the Jordan College currently, in agriculture, of course. One of the things that we're most excited about, if you live anywhere near the university or need to drive by there, you've seen at Barstow, at the corner of Barstow and Woodrow, there's a big new building going up, and that's the Jordan Research Center. It's going to be a 30,000 square foot facility that is going to enable researchers from 3 different colleges at the university to collaborate on research together. Researchers from the Jordan College, our college, researchers from Lyles College of Engineering, as well as the College of Science and Math will be housed in that building. It will also enable us to have greater connections with industry and do collaborative research with industry in that facility as well. That will be opening in the fall. It's actually proceeding on schedule. We also just began an honors program in our college for our top students across the 7 departments in our college. And that will enable them to, they take 3 semesters of courses together, and they will also do research with professors. Our undergraduates don't always get the chance to do that, so this is a great new opportunity for them to do that. Also, if you're a YouTube fan, you might have seen one of our alumni over a year ago who kind of went viral when he asked his girlfriend to marry him. His name is Levi Randolph. And recently he graduated from Fresno State in agricultural education last year, but recently he went and competed at the National American Farm Bureau Federation and Young Farmers and Ranchers Collegiate Discussion Meet, and he was named the national champion. So yes, he did incredibly well. It was very competitive. He's currently at the University of Florida working on his master's degree in agricultural leadership. And so we're kind of hoping he'll come back and be one of our leaders here in the Valley. But you might have seen him again on YouTube. I realize that's irrelevant compared to the agricultural thing, but he's famous in his own right in many different ways. And then finally, our college is hosting FFA Field Days, Future Farmers of America Field Days on April 18th. And that will bring in over 2,000 FFA students from across California. And our professors as well as our students from the agricultural education department will, as well as a number of our other departments, will help them with competitions and judge competitions and so forth to host them. So we're really excited about all the things that are going on in ag, and thank you for acknowledging Agriculture Week.
Good morning. I'm one of the co-presidents of California Women for Agriculture. And Jane Bedrosian was not able to deliver this message, so I'm delivering on her behalf. We have monthly meetings and promote agriculture, and we also attend statewide meetings. There's 5 meetings throughout the year that we network with other women throughout the state to learn about different regions, and it's a good opportunity to learn about other products and in their area. And one of the things that we did last year was we participated in Ag Day at the Fresno Chaffee Zoo, and I don't know if any of you attended there, but there's a Valley Farm there that Karen Messon from Gartatalian helped establish. So our students and some of our members go there like monthly to help, like, clean it up and plant different vegetables and produce there, and then we recycle it and give it to the animals that are there. And another thing that we're trying to help, Jessica Medina, she set up a student cupboard that accepts non-perishable donations for students at Fresno State. And if anybody or in the community would like to contribute to that, they're accepting a donation, and it's strictly for Fresno State students. And another thing we're partnering is with the Fresno County Sheriffs. They have a dog program, that detects exotic pests as well as drugs and other things, and we're trying to help them promote their program as well. And another, we also offer scholarships for students majoring in agriculture. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous here, but so if you have any, children or friends in the community that are, planning to major in agriculture, we have a centralvalleycwa.org website, and the scholarship application is there. It's due March 27th if you have anybody interested in attending next fall. And we'd like to thank the council for declaring the Ag Proclamation Week, and look forward to, if anybody's interested in joining, you're more than welcome to attend our meetings. So thank you.
All right. Thank you all for really explaining to us what it's all about. We certainly appreciate that. And Madam Clerk, would you mind reading our proclamation into the record?
Whereas American agriculture celebrated its first National Agriculture Day in 1973, the 2015 National Agriculture Day program celebrates America's diversity of people, cultures, commodities, and landscapes involved in agriculture, as well as the diversity of crops, career opportunity, and economic activity generated by value-added items produced on the nation's farm that provides the necessary of everyday life, food, fiber, and clothing. National Agriculture Week 2015 recognizes the importance of making informed food choices and developing sound eating and physical activity habits. And whereas the City of Fresno and County of Fresno are located in the heart of the San Joaquin Valley, which is one of the 5 Mediterranean growing regions in the world, known for its fertile soils, long growing season, and a developed surface and groundwater supply that enable county farmers and ranchers to produce more than $6.44 billion in agriculture production in 2013, and is one of the leading food and fiber producing counties in the state and nation. If Fresno County were its own state, it would be ranked 24 in agricultural production. For every $1 billion in farm sales, there are 18,000 jobs created in the state. And whereas Fresno County has more than 5,600 farms, which produce more than 400 different crops, Fresno County's top 10 crops are almonds, grapes, poultry, milk, tomatoes, cattle, and calves, pistachios, garlic, cotton, and oranges. A special activity is planned for Friday, March 20th, when more than 3,500 third graders from the County of Fresno will converge at the Fresno Fairgrounds for the 2015 Farm and Nutrition Day to learn more about the values of good health and nutrition habits, as well as agriculture in San Joaquin Valley and the world. Now, therefore, it will be resolved that we, Mayor Ashley Swearingen, and the members of the Fresno City Council do hereby declare March 16th through 20th, 2015 to be National Agricultural Week in the City of Fresno. Well, that was a lesson.
There'll be a quiz on the top 10 crops in Fresno County, by the way. All right, thank you all very much. All right, and our final ceremonial presentation of the day, if I can have staff come on up, we're going to actually present the Ray Johnson family with a ceremonial street that is named after Ray Johnson. So let me just talk a little bit about this from my perspective. This is probably the first and only street name that I've had the pleasure to do. And I've been asked, we've been asked a couple times to actually name streets after people. And we only do it when we feel it's absolutely appropriate and when the person has earned that designation in this city. It's a very high honor to me, and I actually take it pretty serious as to who we are going to memorialize in street names. So this is the first and only one that I've done. And I remember when, and you all didn't ask for it, which is another thing. I remember Greg and I were sitting in the office and we were trying to figure out who in our community that represented not only the West Fresno community but the entire city of Fresno would be an appropriate person to give this designation to. And I think unanimously we felt like it was Ray Johnson. Although I didn't know him personally, I can tell you that I have been informed of all of the things that he's done for this community. His life of service to the city of Fresno, West Fresno, and the African American community, really his legacy will live on a long time. So we felt it was very fitting to memorialize a street name after him. And the funny thing is, it's West Ray Johnson Way, W. Ray Johnson is what it is. So I'm going to have Greg Barfield and the family. Well, hold on, right before we bring the family up, I want to have you say a few things. Yeah, so they don't have to stand so you can talk to them while it's in there. But Greg actually, a little interesting history. Greg actually is my chief of staff, and we all know that Ray was Les Kimber's chief of staff, and Greg and Ray occupy the same office. So funny enough, Greg actually is in Ray's old office, in his old title, in his old position for serving as chief of staff for this council district.
Well, thank you, Council President. It is indeed my honor and privilege to honor a young man who looked to me as a community leader when I felt like I was 12, right? It was not unusual for me to see Ray as I walked up the steps at City Hall out front, with his notepad, thinking about the other things he needed to do. Or for him to pick up the phone and say, "Good morning, community leader." And, instantly, you would think, okay, I'm being called to service. And it was true, but it didn't feel like being drugged to service. It was a call. And so when this opportunity came up on this street, it wasn't even a rock, paper, scissors. It was hands down. It had to be Ray. So it's just my honor and privilege to be here with all of my family, because they've definitely have adopted me in the 30 plus years I've been back here in the city. And I just want to say thank you all, and I love you very much, and thank you for coming near and far for this day. So,
all right. And thank you. I want to have the family come up and receive the ceremonial street sign, if you all don't mind coming up. Don't be shy. All right. Oh, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yes. Who else we supposed to?
Yes.
Hello, I'm Stacy Johnson Williams. I am Ray Johnson's daughter. This is my son Donovan, his granddaughter Kennedy, his grandson Trevor, his son Justin, his son Rodney, my mother Irma, and his daughter-in-law Melanie. We are so thrilled and thank the council for honoring for honoring my father and husband. And, my father loved this city, and he really felt that, he could make a difference. He really felt that one person can make a difference. Not only did he serve as the chief of staff for Councilman Kimber, he also was Robert Smith's chief of staff as well. So, and he was a deputy city manager. He loved this city, and he loved the community. And we want to thank all of you, and thank you, Councilman Baines, for making this happen. We're really excited, and this is really, truly an honor. He's had gardens named after him, that type of thing, but this truly is breathtaking.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to say that my dad loved Fresno. I remember that from when I was 2, that he loved Fresno. And seeing the level of commitment that he had to the community, and just to grow up with that, really, for all of us children, really showed us that it's important to believe in something. It matters what you believe in, and to be committed to what you believe in and to live your life that way. And thanks, Dad, because you deserve it.
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to say, I don't think my father ever did anything for this city that he ever thought that anybody was going to come back and thank him for. I don't think he ever really thought that people would sing praises to his name after he was gone. But this is such a tremendous honor, and I know he would have really liked to have seen this come. So I'd just like to again thank Greg and Oliver. This is just fantastic. I really had no idea this was going to happen, and I am super proud of my dad. And you talk about the legacy, you talk about leaving something behind. This is something that my kids will remember. They'll be able to take their kids to see. And I just wanted you all to know how much I appreciated it.
I'd just like to say, first of all, giving honor to God. It's truly a privilege to be here. And as Pastor Foster said, it's a great day in Fresno, not because that you guys are honoring my husband and the father of my children. It's because it's just a beautiful day, period. Thank you so much.
So we are a small sampling, obviously. So there are 5 grandchildren who are not here. They're still in Texas in a snowstorm. And then we have a host of his brothers, sister-in-laws, cousins, etc. If you all could come up as well and enjoy this honor with us.
Yeah, it's going to be a big picture. So you guys got to come
Oh, yeah. Can we have someone take a picture, too?
Greg, you want to?
Okay.
All right. I think we put, can we hold the sign like right in the middle?
Yeah.
Here, you come on, young man.
Yes.
There you go. You
And you stand in the picture, too.
Well, I'll stand. Well, okay. I don't want to. okay, all right.
We're putting it under sideways.
Listen, thank you all, and it's very, you're all very welcome. It's very rare that we get to really honor a local hero, so we're always touched when we have the opportunity to do it. Thank you all so much thank you for sharing your dad with us all those years. We know it was tough. Sal, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. To the Johnson family, I'd just like to share a real quick story with you before you leave. I see Wayne Richardson in the audience. How you doing, Wayne? Good, good. Just want to share with you, I worked with Ray here for a while at City Hall, but I met Ray when he was originally going to Edison. I was at Mount Carmel, so Mount Carmel School, which I don't know how, but Wayne was a student there as well. But anyway, Ray and I would talk about the old days in West Fresno, and he'd say, you know, man, I wish those days would come back and everything. And some of you may remember the Mr. Bolt clothing store. And Ray said, yeah, I got a lot of jumpsuits there. And we said, I asked him, do you still have them in the closet? And he said, I think I do. I got them in storage. But he said, they're going to come back one of these days. And then we talked about his time when he said, we were famous before the Temptations. We were called the Marvelous Vels. He said, I was the only one that didn't know how to dance as good. Everybody else was good dancers except me. But it was really a lot of fun to work with him and have known him all those years and shared a lot of those stories. And I can tell you, you know, and as you're well aware, he's here in spirit. He is here in spirit today and celebrating with everyone. So we're blessed to have known him too. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you all once again. So we're gonna move a little bit out of order this morning. We have some staff members that have some pressing issues that they need to get to. So we're gonna go to general admin right now. We're gonna take item 2A. So if I have staff in the room that can come and present that to council.
Council President, you might want to approve the agenda first.
Well, okay, I'll
just take that one item.
Apparently my powers, I'm not all powerful. I'm very disappointed, Doug. Okay, so first thing we'll do is we will approve the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda.
All right, we've had a properly motion and second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Great. Now, apparently, we can have item 2A. Renee?
Good morning, Council President, Council members. In 10 years with the city, it's the first time in front of the dais. And if there was ever an agenda item that I would like to, be here at, this is it, because I feel, minus the beard, like a ratepayer Santa Claus. So in following the vision of the administration, the mayor, Mr. Brandow, and the rest of the council to look under every nook and cranny for ratepayer-friendly financing, the State Water Resources Control Board is now accepting applications for water pipeline infrastructure projects under their state revolving fund low interest loan program. This loan program typically provides funding at 50% of the state average interest rate paid on general obligation bonds, and the loans typically vary between 0 and about 2.3%, and also with their new policies may come with a match component that could vary typically between 13 and 21%. But this agenda item is to request authorization to submit applications to fund our regional transmission main projects. Those are approximately $63.1 million. Put those lines throughout the city. The Bryant-Kern pipeline leading to our Northeast Surface Water Treatment Plant at approximately $26.5 million, and our Kings River pipeline, source water pipeline that will serve our Southeast Surface Water Treatment Plant at approximately $75.2 million. So the total funding under this loan for these three projects would be approximately $164,785,000. Now, compared to the average standard bond interest rate of about 5.5%, a state revolving fund interest rate of 2.25%, or half of that rate, would result in a ratepayer savings over 30 years of about $110 million. So it may be Christmas time, but myself and our staff are here to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you very much. We will now take this item out to the public. Do we have any members of the public wishing to comment on this item? All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the dais. We have several council members that would like to make comments. First, we will have Steve Brandow.
All right. Thank you, Council President. And thank you for that report. I think this is fantastic. Following the vote that we took last week to begin a water project, and we saw some savings, and I'm fighting a cold, so I'm going to try and make it brief. We saw a lot of savings by applying to the state for the surface water treatment plant, about $104 million, the life of that project. And if we can pull off another $110 million, the result of the 104 was about $3 per month per ratepayer. And it's a significant amount of money in time. And so I'm hoping that we can reduce rates to the ratepayers once again if we hear good news from the state on this project. So in fighting this cold, I might have missed it. I loved your presentation. Do we have an idea when we'll get word? We're going to submit the application today, and then what is the process when we might hear back?
What happens right now is that we're submitting three separate applications, and typically it can be up to around 8 months. But we're going to try to target, because our Bryant-Kern pipeline to our Northeast plant is in the queue first, we're going to try to target that one right away. Also, because, and this is just like the first half of the application for these three projects. We'll submit those, we'll hit the button as soon as you say yes, or what, and we'll hit the button and those will go, and then we start working on the second half of the applications to give them the financial and environmental, all the other information that they need for their application. But we've already submitted the financial and environmental documents to them, and some other documents they need. And so in conversation with them, they may not need those financials because those CAFRs haven't changed. And so we may be able to accelerate the Bryant-Kern pipeline, relatively quickly, within, 4 or 5 months, something like this. So, and so the other ones will also be scheduled, and the State Board has been very cooperative with us so far, as Cassie Chahan has been up here before. So they'll be scheduling those other two projects, the the Kings River pipeline and the regional transmission mains, as those schedules come up, and they will work with us on those. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, that did good. So last week, one of my amendments to the big vote that we took was to do an annual review and a reconciliation of the rates. So hypothetically, every year for the next 4 years, we already took one step and the rates went up a little bit, but every year for the next 4 years, we'll see another part of that rate structure roll out. And prior to that, we're going to have a rate reconciliation presentation here at City Council. So I'd love to hear, I'm hoping that this work all gets done before our next round of increases in that rate structure. So that hypothetically, if we save 12% on the surface water treatment plant, if we were to save another 12% on this loan, then we could put that in and adjust the rates prior to the next round.
Yeah. That would be wonderful. Right. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. That answers my questions.
Councilmember Capriolio.
Glenn, I just wanted to say thank you very much, and please don't wait 10 years to come back and visit us with news like this. We need this news every day as often as we can get it, so continue the good work, and Merry Christmas. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Brand.
Just have a few follow-up questions. So this, again, this was clarified by Member Brandow, is an additional amount of money that we're applying for low-interest loans. Roughly, I got the totaling $164 million?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in the original capital plan, my recollection was it was, 429 was the total. I believe 88 was at the pay-as-you-go, 88? Okay. So the balance would have been roughly all under bond financing, approximately $340 million?
That's correct.
Okay. So what was the total amount of money that on the first, last week that we discussed? I know it resulted in $104 million savings, but what was the cumulative amount of the loans? Was it like
the the way the state sent the paperwork back to us was authorized us up to 195.
Mm-hmm.
The plant was actually, in the construction cost for the plant and all the soft costs, was 186.
Mm-hmm.
So they were going to make an additional $9 million available to us as part of that loan, but that's at our discretion whether or not we want to use that, need that, and they were. The beauty of that was we could submit for prior year expenditures. So right now we spent $10-12 million on the planning, permitting, and design.
So the net result is it's roughly this. The amount of bonding is roughly the same. The total amount. The difference is going to be that part of it will be 195 will be at about under 2%.
1.663.
Okay. And this 164 million, instead of being at 5.5% as originally forecast, would be 2.25%.
2.25%. And we're just posting that right now. Again, the state was very generous, and as I mentioned last week, they were able to find us 1.663 money. That's not to say they won't find us 1.663 money again, but for managing everyone's expectations, we're going 2.25% right now, and our hope is to under-promise and over-deliver on that once that letter comes through.
And just on rough calculations, if this in fact goes through even at the 2.25% rate, that's got to be equate to at least about a $3 rate increase reduction.
Correct.
And if it came at the lower rate, 1.6 would probably be closer to probably about 3.25 to 350.
Exactly.
So in essence, you would go from originally we were going from 24 to 25 to 52. Now it's 25 to roughly 49 to 50. This would make it 25 to maybe 45, 46.
45, 40, exactly.
Which would, make over time we're making a huge dent in the overall rate and providing relief for the ratepayers. The second question would be these types of funds, these types of programs are also available for reclamation and sewer treatment. Is that correct?
That's correct. We are currently we have a $49 million similar type of financing instrument for the reclamation project, the treatment piece, and we've got a $51 million application that the state's ready to authorize for the distribution system associated with that recycled water project.
Right, because correct me if I'm wrong, but the program we've already pre-approved, when finished, would be roughly 25,000 acre feet. It would for reclamation.
So this first phase we're doing is 5 million gallons a day. So it's going to probably be about 6.5 acre feet. We'll get started with that first module,
right.
Get people hooked up, get the water distributed, and then learn from that, and then expand it appropriately.
Right. So because I would encourage you to continue because. One of the things that was from this whole debate was, having alternate sources. And we all know, I'm not going to redo the whole debate on the surface water treatment plant. I think fully agree we need that. But as an alternative, developing, the reclamation capability, because that would just about, if I knew a 5 or 10-year plan, would put the city of Fresno in probably the best position of any city in the state of California, at the very least, in terms of our water needs, our technology, being cutting edge as far as doing all those things necessary in a state that's, still going through a, hopefully it's the last year of a drought, but a major drought, because when we have those drought years and we have the reclamation, I'm thinking of cities like Las Vegas that have really state-of-the-art, in San Diego now that recently completed a $1 billion tertiary treatment plant that actually can produce a glass of water from, I won't tell you where it came from. So we are pursuing those?
Yes.
Okay. And maybe down the road, we can look, at a capital plan, particularly if there's state grants, state low interest rate loans, because I think all those will be cost effective. And the final question is on an old subject, water conservation, that we passed a Water Conservation Act last fall and set up a series of incentives for people, businesses and local people to use to low flow toilets, smart controllers, drip irrigation, et cetera. I know there's money out there that, when we identified 250,000, as I recall.
Internally correct.
If we could try to find more money out there, which I believe is out there, so maybe we could double that and have more people go to Xeriscape, consider conversion to, turf, and all kinds of, water saving, water conserving, ideas that they're going to get financial credit for. So please do what we can to look at all the money out there.
Yes, we are looking under every stone for $1, a nickel, a dime, anything we can get.
Okay. Thank you. That's all my questions. Thank both of you guys for the good job.
Yeah, and I just wanted to point out, I wanted to just put a note of appreciation to Glenn. When you put out the charge, and the council put out the charge, and the mayor put out the charge, hey, we got to really look for this money. We had to hand the sword to somebody to climb the hill and take it, and Glenn was the guy that we assigned to do that, and he's been working with the state agencies, getting our paperwork in, getting them to respond, getting them to get those letters turned around to us as quick as they can. So I just, a word of thanks and appreciation to Glenn for all the work he did in taking on that charge and getting it delivered. It was yeoman's work by him, and I appreciate everything he did to make that happen.
Councilmember Soria.
Again, I just want to echo some of the words that my council colleagues just shared. I appreciate the work that you guys doing in looking for loans or low interest loans to help in the reduction of the rates. I would like to see really us also being aggressive at looking at grants, because we know loans have to be paid back, and so that's a reality. So I would like to see a really aggressive effort. I know that I mentioned previously there's cap and trade funds out there for water purposes. I know specifically there's a water diversion program, there's a water energy efficiency program, and I think that we would qualify, we would potentially qualify under those. So I would like to see us aggressively go out after those as soon as possible, rather than wait. So if you guys could come back and report to us in our next council meeting to where you guys are at in looking at those programs and how much would we qualify. Those programs are already available. I know I spoke to the governor's office a few weeks ago, and they had told me those funds are already there. So I think that we should be aggressively looking at that, because I think a further reduction, free money, is a lot better than a low interest loan. And so I just want to continue to encourage you guys that as we move forward with this project, we're being aggressive.
Great, thank you.
So thank you for all the work that you guys are doing.
Councilmember Brandow.
Yeah. Fighting this head cold, I forgot to say it earlier, but I'd make a motion to approve staff recommendations and begin this process.
All right, we have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Item passes 7-0.
Thank you. We're going to push send, get the applications in. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Tommy.
Thanks,
Thank
Tommy.
you, Glenn.
All right, we will now get back on course here. We need to approve our council minutes, city council minutes from February 26th. Do we have a motion for that? All right, we have a first and a second. Any of the council members' comments? All those in favor? All opposed? Item passes 7-0. We now need to also approve the successor agency minutes from February 26, 2015. Do we have a motion for that? All right, it's been properly moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, now we will go to our council member reports and comments. Councilmember Soria.
I just want to make a note that March is Women's History Month, and I am actually very proud to be here as the only councilwoman next to my colleagues. So I do want to just make a note that March is Women's History Month, and that we should be celebrating the accomplishments that our women throughout our nation have accomplished. I will next week bring forward recognition of this month to celebrate not only our women here locally and their successes, but just women across our nation and how important women have been in our history, in our U.S. history. And so the accounts of individual women's lives are really critically important because they reveal exceptionally strong role models who share a more expansive vision of what a woman can do. The stories of women in the past and present, the choices they've made, encourage girls and young women to think larger and bolder, and give boys and men a fuller understanding of the female experience. Example of our women's achievements, challenges, stereotypes, and upbent social assumptions about women are and what women can accomplish today. So just wanted to make a short note. Hopefully next council meeting, which is at the end of the month, we will bring forth a resolution to celebrate Women's History Month. So thank you.
Councilmember Caprielio.
Thank you. Yesterday, I had the privilege of attending Fresno Police Department and Fresno Peace Officers Association recognition of Edgar Padilla. He's a well-liked, long-standing police officer. We know every day they face danger and difficult times. Unfortunately, Edgar contracted pancreatic cancer. So yesterday was a celebration. It was called Shave the Brave. And as we sat there and enjoyed talking to Edgar, I think it was 48 members of the police department actually shaved their heads to support Edgar and his battle with the cancer. And I think there were 3 ladies that cut their hair. They donated that to Love of Locks for those that have cancer problems. So it was a great event. Our best to Edgar. Continue the struggle, and we support him. Secondly, Kids Day was a lot of fun. I was at Blackstone and Shaw, and it was a great day, a lot of fun. A lot of money was raised for Valley Children's Hospital. And I wanted to acknowledge the Fresno State Rugby Club, men's and women's. They on their own raised $1,285 for Valley Children's Hospital. It was great to see them all out there, and it was a great event. And you can continue to give to the Valley Children's Hospital. So thank you.
Councilmember Brand.
Want to ask the city manager, we passed the general plan in December. I had made a motion that within 90 days we come forward with the first draft of the development code. So I believe the next meeting is March 26th. I'd like to make the request for the record that we start that process with a draft for the council. Thank you.
Councilmember Quintero.
Thank you, Mr. President. Wanted to ask that we adjourn today's council meeting in memory of Alice Gianetta, who passed away recently. She was 92 years young, and she was a very proud Italian woman that always placed her family first. And she was also one of the founders of the Building Industry Association's Women in Construction Group, and she was always there with a big smile on her face whenever there was a fundraiser to attend or having to go cook in the kitchen for the fundraiser, but always there with a ready smile and energetic, and always gave you a hug and a kiss, and just made you feel like you were 100%. And anyway, she passed, like I said, she passed away recently, but I wanted to adjourn in her memory. And she was a very dynamic woman, beautiful woman, and one of her sons works here at City Hall as well. So anyway, Mr. President, I ask that we adjourn in memory of Alice Gianetta. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, I just wanted to inform my colleagues, for those of you that don't know, I'll be traveling today with the Faith in Politics delegation heading to the Civil Rights Pilgrimage in Alabama, visiting the cities of Selma, Montgomery, and Birmingham. We will, on Saturday, be reenacting the march over Edmund Pettus Bridge. Most of you all remember that as Bloody Sunday. So it's a very high honor. It's a congressional delegation, and I was invited by Congressman Jim Costa as his guest. So very happy and excited to be leaving today. Next, we move on to the consent calendar. And I will take the consent calendar out to the public. Do we have any members of the public that wish to comment on the consent calendar? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the dais. Now would be the time for council members that'd like to remove items from the consent calendar to do so. Councilmember Brandow.
Yeah, Council President, I would love to pull item B, that's 15-132, and item H, that's 15-176.
So B and H.
Yes.
Councilmember Soria.
Council President, I would like to pull items 1C and 1I.
Councilmember Quintero.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd also like to pull item 1D, please.
D as in dog?
D, yes, sir.
All right. Well, it appears as though we don't have much of a consent calendar left, but do I have a motion to approve the balance of the consent calendar?
Second.
All right. So all those in favor of approving the balance of the consent calendar, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. The consent calendar is approved. Now, because we have so many, we're just going to take these items in order, starting at item 1B. I don't know if we have staff in the room for the priority ranking list for new traffic signals.
Good morning. I'm Jill Gormley with Public Works Traffic Engineering.
Hi, thanks, Jill. Jill, I just had a couple questions, and actually flipping around, I lost my place in the agenda booklet. So really what I was going to ask was, this is on prioritizing signal lights in our city, right?
We have a list for the traffic signals and also for left turn phasing at existing traffic signals.
Is that, and I'm going to kind of be looking while I'm talking to you for that. Again, I lost it. There were 2 pages. Is one page? Oh, thank you. Councilwoman Esmeralda rescued me right there. All right. There's 2 pages. One is a list of about, it seems like about 30, and then the other is a list of about 10. What are these 2 different lists, and then how do you come up with the prioritizing? Could you explain that to me real quick?
Sure. The first list is actually about 53, and those are intersections that do not currently have a traffic signal. So those would be locations where we would propose new signals. The other list actually has traffic signals, but they might not have the left turn phasing, which would be that left turn arrow at those intersections.
All right. So, okay. Now, so the top list is intersections that don't even currently have a signal light.
Correct.
And then there's a kind of a point system here. And so I have a couple questions about that. The point system prioritizes them. So the one with the highest points is the one that we need to do first. Is that kind of, in general, the way this works?
Years ago, we came up with this ranking system, and it's meant to be unbiased. It's based on things like traffic volumes, if there's a school in the area, if there's a need for coordination with adjacent signals. And the number 1 ranking is basically the one that had the most points allocated based on those different criteria, that variables that we will look at.
And then does that intersection also have to be specifically funded from some source? There's kind of a column for funding.
Right.
What if one of them is blank and there's no funding implicated on this schedule? Does that mean that one doesn't go, even though it's a high priority, or is that, how do we look at that?
Well, we use this list when we're looking at grant applications. Grant applications are very competitive, and some of these may meet the criteria for certain applications and not for others. So number 30 may not be funded, or may be funded, while number 1 may not be funded. It may be just that a grant came along that met the criteria that location met the criteria for. Maybe it was a school-related grant versus an air quality-related grant.
Okay, so we might find additional funding for some of them.
Exactly.
And so then, if we don't, does that mean, if there's not additional, or there's not a second source of funding, that doesn't mean that that particular intersection's not funded under our city funding? Is that correct?
Well, we do have our impact fee program that we collect, and we use towards the installation of traffic signals. Recent years, it's not been as robust as it has in the past because we are paying out a lot of those impact fees into credits towards developers that actually install signals.
And could you kind of recap maybe last year, how many signals in the city did we add? So we have this ongoing list. About how many did we accomplish the last?
I don't have that information in front of me. We do, as we update it, as signals are installed, we take them off the list. I don't know that the list has grown in a number. It may have been 52 last year, now it's 53, but that may have been that we took a couple off and we put a couple on the list.
So it's our goal to accomplish this whole list this year?
Not necessarily this year. This is a running list. Some of these
Okay.
may have been on there for years. Maybe funding
Okay.
hasn't been available. We keep them on there until we actually construct the traffic signal.
Until the project's done. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve staff recommendation on this list.
I'll second it. Councilmember Soria.
I have a question just for clarification purposes. So again, going back to priority and ranking of these projects, so just because it's higher on the list doesn't necessarily mean that it will get funded first. It all depends on the grants available.
Right. So the one on the top one on the list had the total highest number of points based on the criteria that we were looking at. Volumes, accidents, is it in a school area, whatever combination that is. That actually has funding. That's a highway safety improvement grant. The number 4 is a CMAQ grant. That's an air quality grant. So their different criterias were met for those grant applications for those locations.
Okay. And for the ones, because I know that there's a few in District 1 that doesn't have the estimate, when will those estimates be updated? And
we try to update the estimates regularly.
is that one a newer one that came on? Is that why?
It may be. I'm not quite sure of the ones that are actually newer or not.
Okay. So yeah, I guess we can get that information at a later point from you guys. Thank you.
Councilmember Quintero.
Councilmember Brandow, just for your information, and Ms. Soria as well, there's one listed here in District 5 that's like number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at Cedar and Woodward. There's Sequoia Middle School there, General Vang Pao School is one block over. That's been on there since the mid-90s for me. Okay? So, just FYI.
Thank you, Councilmember Quintero, for that perspective. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Item passes 7-0. Now we will move to item 1C. If we have staff in the room for the approval of the acquisition of 3.42 acres of property from HMK Limited. And just for the record, we'll have 1D next if staff is in the room.
Pete Caldwell, Senior Real Estate Agent for the Public Works Department.
This is Councilmember Brandow. Is this your?
This is mine.
Oh, yours? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So I just had a question regarding even future acquisitions for Veterans Boulevard. I know that we saw one in our previous, I don't know if it was, I think the previous council meeting, but we also passed last week this Enterprise Capital Management and Citizens Oversight Act. So I'm just trying to understand if any future related acquisitions are to be reviewed by this committee, since it is a capital project that is over 20 million. And so I just want to get clarification because our council did pass that Oversight Committee last week. I want to make sure that if this is something that will fall under that. I don't know who.
Councilmember, this is a regional Measure C Tier 1 project, so the oversight of this project is actually provided by the Fresno County Transportation Authority. Our Public Works Department works with the Transportation Authority. Anytime we run into cost overruns or, and as the project progresses forward, there are reports that we have to provide to them as part of the measure. So this is not one of these projects that's being funded out of bond proceeds or is actually being funded from any ratepayer dollars per se that the city has control over. This is the funding for this project is being derived from sales tax or a percentage of sales tax generated from Measure C, and about $23 million that was allocated by the California High-Speed Rail Authority to help fund this project.
Okay, that's all I wanted to get clarification on. Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second? I'll second it. All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, item passes 7-0. We have now 1D, which is the MOU with community-based organizations for the Project Safe Neighborhoods Grant.
Good morning, Council. I'm Lieutenant Burke Farrell with the Fresno Police Department, commander of our Metro Magic Unit.
I don't remember which council member pulled this. Okay.
I pulled this item simply because in reading it, I know part of it is going to go into the Calwa area, and I need more information there. It's pretty broad in terms of the description of what they're going to do. I've got a concern with who's going to be overseeing it. I'm just not at a comfort level. So there's really, I need more specifics. I've been working with an organization over there off the front for a couple of years through Calwa School. And I don't know if they're a part of this. I mean, I just don't know anything about it other than the money's here. This is kind of broad thing of what they're going to do. Plus, I don't know where the boundary lines are for the Calwa area. So, I mean, there's just, unanswered questions.
Burke, any issue with holding this over for 2 weeks? Is there any timelines that we're dealing with?
We're eager to move forward on the project. I can answer the questions that Councilmember Quintero has now, if you'd like.
I guess my question is that if council chose to delay this until the 26th, is there a time sensitivity of doing that?
The issue we have is these MOUs are also going before the county, so we'd like to get them signed and approved so we can move forward with receiving the funding from the federal government. The MOUs today would allow council to allow the police department of the city of Fresno to act as the primary agent for the disbursement of the grant funds, all $450,000 of which would be going into the Calwa area. The boundaries would be Church on the north, Annandale on the south, Maple on the east, and Orange on the west. So that's a prime area that's affected. There is a component in the grant that's required by the feds that our research partner, which is Fresno State, who receives 20% of the grant, would conduct scientific research in the area and survey to determine if those are the correct areas. I'm sorry, sir?
If I can interrupt you, please.
Of course.
I know you got a badge and I don't, but I got to interrupt you. The point is this is these are monies that really impact our neighborhoods in a positive way, and they're really, really vitally important. And did you contact other council offices to go over them or see if they had any thoughts or input into this?
Sir, we applied for the grant. We're on a very short time frame. We applied for the grant based on the understanding that we'd be working within the community. We chose the Calwa area based on our crime analysis data and problems within that area, and that's where all of these funds are focused, is in Calwa. So no, we did not talk to any of the other council districts about this issue.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to the county when with this?
County's going to take a look at this week.
This week? Next week?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Unless I hear say, and I'm not hearing anything, we've gotten the grant. All we have to do is execute an MOU. I will go ahead and with due respect to the council member, ask staff to table the item until the 26th and to meet with you to go over what's being proposed in your district,
Yeah.
sir.
Can we do it? Okay, thank you, Mr. Cityman. I appreciate, that's what I want to do.
So Sal, you want to make a motion to table that until the 26th?
Motion to table, and then in the meantime, that'll give us an opportunity to meet and discuss the grant itself and the impacts.
Right, second.
Okay.
Okay, city attorney, do we need to vote on that, or can that just happen?
You should vote.
Okay, we've had a motion to table the item to the 26th. We've had a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, items tabled to the 26th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fair.
Next, we will have item 1H as in Henry, and after that, we will have 1I.
Good morning, Council President, members of the council. I'm Manuel Molinero, the Director of the Parks Department.
I was going to talk a lot about it, but I'm actually... This is about a community science center that is a great opportunity for our community to take advantage of. And it is located in Highway City off of basically Shaw and Golden State, very close to District 1. It's right there on Shaw and Golden State. And I had an opportunity with you, Manuel, to go visit the site here a couple of days ago, and Sean and Eddie and a couple of others were there, and you showed me the facility, and you began to tell me about how this is a great opportunity for our community and a blessing for our community. And you talked about some folks that were helping us with this project. And so I just, instead of just passing it on consent calendar, it's a really easy thing to pass, but I wanted my fellow council members and the community to hear a little bit about this opportunity, so in upcoming days, we could take better advantage of it. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Manuel, and let you tell us a little bit more about this science community center.
Thank you very much, Councilman Brandow, and I'm really appreciative of your enthusiasm for this particular program. Although today the council report is to approve funding so that my staff can use the foundation funds on this program, to me, it really is a historic day because of the fact that the science program has literally outgrown the double-wide trailer that it used to be in, and we're moving it to a permanent location. The signal that we're sending to our donors that we're finally appreciative of this program enough to move it into a community center that had been closed for 4 years, and moving it into a permanent location has really been extremely well received. This program not only serves children in the city of Fresno, the program is of such a great quality that school districts now come to us and contract with us to provide our science mobile and science programs for various school districts. There aren't too many recreation departments that can boast that fact. The other thing that I'm really proud of is that we recently submitted this particular program to the California Parks and Recreation Society in a competitive competition to see if it would be recognized as one of the best programs in the state of California this year, and it was recognized as the best science program that operates out of a Parks and Recreation department, which to me is also sending a very, very powerful signal that Fresno is really doing things that are exceptional. With us today, we have some people that I think are very important. We do rely on foundation funds to support this program, but the individual that has really spearheaded this and really made it possible for funding organizations to feel comfortable in providing this money for us is the person that really has spearheaded this program for us, Manuel Hernandez. I refer to him as our own in-house Mr. Wizard, so I'd like to recognize him. Manuel, stand up. And as I said before, we have received a number of foundation grants to support this program, but we had an opportunity to take Ann Clues from PG&E over to see the program. And again, like you, she was extremely impressed with this program. And I'd like to recognize Ann Clues not only for helping the city in many ways, but also specifically helping our science program. Ann? And we also have a special guest. He's the Executive Director of the Science, Arts, and Math program over in Sanger. It's a partner agency. We do have limitations as to how many hours our employees can work. Because of the fact this is a very intense science program, it's not very easy to recruit young people that have the knowledge and ability to teach youngsters. And by partnering with the Science, Arts, and Math organization, we're going to be able to maintain our highly qualified employees to work with us throughout the year. So I would like to recognize our partner, Jerry Valdez. Jerry? And finally, I'd just like to conclude, if any of you have not had an opportunity to go over to the new Highway City Science Center when now that we're going to be operating pretty soon, I would really encourage you to do so. If you let me know, we can arrange to take you on a special tour like we did Councilman Brandow. And if you're not familiar with our program, we have a moving billboard that travels throughout the city in our Science Mobile. Whenever you have a special event, let us know. We'll have our Science Mobile there, and it's just really captivates the imagination of children. So you're all invited to visit the new center, and also if you ever need to have our Science Mobile as a participant in one of your special programs in your council districts, give me a call. Thank you.
Thank you, Manuel. And Manuel, when I was there with you the other day, one of the things that is really cool about this place is it's all hands-on. The kids get to come in and they get to create things and see how things work and use tools, and there's some ideas there, and then they can create their own ideas. And so it's a very creative opportunity. And the community center previously was one of the community centers that got shut down in the recession. But it's got a grassy area, it's got a playground for small young children, and it's got a basketball court. So it's kind of a full-service community center, and it's fantastic. It's actually, even though it was shut down during the recession, it's in pretty decent shape. There's a few things left to be done. But if council passes this today, I can foresee us having a great opening event at this center. And one idea that I had that my fellow council members might think about is we have boys and girls clubs throughout our community. And I was thinking about several of the Boys and Girls Clubs in District 2, and once this is completely up and running, it'd be nice to invite the different Boys and Girls Clubs to take them over for a day and have hamburgers and hot dogs and let them experience this science facility. So I think it's fantastic, and I'd like to make a motion to approve these grants and staff. All right, thank you.
All right, we have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Item passes 7-0. Thanks, Manuel. Thanks,
Thank you
staff.
very
Thanks
much.
all the partner. Soria. All right, we now have item 1I. We can have staff make themselves available for that.
Good morning, Council. Del Estabrook, Code Enforcement Manager, and the item is our 2015 weed abatement program that I introduced last week, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Del. I just had a couple questions, or maybe one question. So, as I understand the program, there is an ability to have a public hearing, right?
Yes.
If someone is given a citation for noncompliance.
That is correct.
And just to follow up on that, I just wanted to understand if there's currently a mechanism in place if a property owner is unable to pay for the abatement fees, if charged?
Yes, we can work with them on that too. Yes, ma'am.
So, is there a certain procedure in place, policy within the department? Just wanted to get more detail on that to understand the ability.
We can work with our appeals officer or our hearing officer to set up a payment plan or something like that. We can work it.
So is there a threshold in terms of them showing their low income, or how does that generally work
He would
in terms of your policy?
evaluate case by case. He'd look at the whole, everything, what they have the ability to pay, et cetera.
Okay, so there's discretion.
Yes, ma'am.
Within the process. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure that there was a mechanism for that. Thank you.
We have a motion?
Make a motion.
All right, do we have a second? Okay, second by Councilmember Brand, and Councilmember Brand, you're up.
Hey, Dale, for somebody who's had owned property and had, the city noticing very inconsistently, there's years that there's a notice out there right away, other years it never even comes. Is there people that drive around on a regular basis that monitor the vacant properties?
Correct. This system is our most resource-efficient system. Put the notice out, put it in the B. We've already had people call us on it, so we know they got the notices.
Right.
April 16th, we'll split our roster up into different areas, and we'll check it to make sure that have been done.
Okay, and what about city properties that are not in compliance? Because I've had
Good one. Very good.
constituent calls.
They send those directly to me.
Let me elaborate a little bit. The next directors meeting next week, Jennifer will pass out a roster to each director of their departments and which properties that they have to have done by April 6th. So they have 1 month.
And conversely, there's other, like state or county, the same thing, and those properties owned by other agencies?
Yes, there isn't a governmental agency that doesn't have a weed abatement program. Each of them are a little bit different
some of the
dates.
people, they own the properties.
Correct.
They're the ones in violation. And really, a corollary problem would be the one we had, particularly a couple of years ago, with all the landscape perimeters on many neighborhoods that had went through, winter, then it went through spring, nothing was done. By June or July, everything had grown, it turned to fire hazards, and those are really just as, as bad and potentially dangerous as the other one.
And those you're talking about that are managed like by a CFD or in the medium strips and so on and so forth, our streets department will handle them. But we'll get calls on them, and then we'll differentiate which it is, and we'll make the appropriate calls to get Brian Russell's shop to get it cleaned up. It works.
Yeah. And city manager, I know we talked about this on a citywide basis and trying to address that problem from a couple of years ago on this. And so there was talk of a, community CFD, and how are we doing on that?
Well, I don't think there's been a whole lot of progress with regard to a community-based CFD. We've tightened up how we are currently managing the existing CFDs as well as the landscape maintenance districts, landscape and lighting maintenance districts. So as Dell indicated, if it's a frontage or a setback around a development with a landscape and lighting district or a CFD, then we'll notify the appropriate folks. Or in a lot of ways, it's our folks who are managing that. Throughout the rest of the community, it's still a challenge. And as Dell indicated, at this point, it is whenever someone calls in or one of our code officers identify a location. I can tell you that within the next 30 to 60 days, it is our belief that we will be launching a new app, an application for a smartphone that residents can literally take a picture of everything from, we're not going to have weedians, but weeds on an island, median island, or other issues, sidewalks, and take a picture and send it to us with the location, and it will geocode the location. So rather than having code going all around town trying to find this, residents can send this information directly to us, which will allow us to address them faster than we have been in the past.
Okay. And I know there's currently the applications, like the neighborhood applications now that the Fresno Police Department uses where they can report crime. Because a lot of the properties we manage use these applications. And I'm just thinking, as far as monitoring these vacant fields, I mean, do you ever consider getting a drone, those small drones? I mean, if you could, do a grid search of the city every day and take pictures and identify for what it's worth.
We might ask Skywatch to take a look.
I think Bruce would really like a drone to be flying around.
Yeah, I just Put me somewhere, I'll just fly the drone.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a lot cheaper, so anyway, a suggestion. Thank you, Dale.
All right. We got a first and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, item passes 7-0. So now we're going to move into our general admin items. We have item 2B. We're going to add Article 3.13 to Chapter 12 of the Fresno Municipal Code relating to the transfer of development impact fees for the reestablishment of businesses relocated due to condemnation. Staff?
Good morning, members of the council. I'm Andrew Benelli with the Public Works Department. We're asking you to have the first reading of Article 3.3 to add Article 3.3 to Chapter 12 of the Fresno Municipal Code relating to the transfer of development impact fees for the reestablishment of businesses relocated due to condemnation. Article 3.3 will allow the transfer of development impact fee credits under certain circumstances from one parcel to a new site when the old site is condemned for public use. City currently provides fee reduction or waiver for new construction on a site that was previously developed but does not allow credits to be transferred. A business that is located on a site that is condemned has either already paid impact fees or was grandfathered into the program. Typically, the old site will not redevelop because it is being used for roadway, railroad, or other public improvements. If any portion of a condemned site is ever redeveloped, the new development would not receive any reduction or waiver of the fees. Article 3.13 will allow a transfer of development impact fees for up to $50,000 for any new construction and reestablishment of a business when their existing site is condemned and demolished. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, we'll now take this item out to the public. Do we have any members of the public that would like to comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the dais. Councilmember Soria.
I have a few questions. So do we know how many businesses have the city of Fresno relocated through the condemnation process in the last year?
You know, with high-speed rail, we have many businesses that are being condemned. Some of them are being relocated. We only have a few right now that are relocating, but as the project moves forward, we may have more.
Okay. Could you guys provide me maybe some of that information over the last year?
Some of the businesses that are being condemned?
Like how many folks we've relocated through this condemnation process?
Right now, we're working with one business, that's Cosmos Restaurant. They would probably be the first business that would benefit from this, but we do have several others that we know are being condemned. We don't know yet whether they'll relocate and build new. We hope they'll stay within the city of Fresno. That's one of the reasons for this program. Some of those owners haven't decided yet whether they'll try to stay on what remains of their property or stay in Fresno or maybe relocate to the county or another city.
So do we even have an estimated number of and cost of future acquisitions that will benefit from this bill? I know that you just mentioned one. Cosmo.
You know, we could provide an estimate of the number of parcels that would be condemned, but what we don't know is whether they'll stay within the town or build new. Many of them will move into existing businesses or existing structures where they won't be required to pay impact fees.
Okay.
If I could, Councilmember, the vast majority of businesses that have been impacted thus far have found new locations within existing buildings. So we have been working with the EDC as well as the High Speed Rail Authority and been very successful. OK Produce is a good example of a business that was located or is currently still located along G Street, but they have found a new location south of Ventura. And so we have not come to a point where we've looked at a business who's relocating, who's looking to build new. Most of them have located within existing opportunities in the marketplace.
Okay, so then my last question. So if the condemning agency is other than the city, which, you know, we know through high-speed rail, this has happened or will happen, are they not required to pay the impact fees for the relocation of the business? How does that work?
The high-speed rail's position is that they are not, and given the millions of dollars of investment, we didn't want to hold the project up over $30,000 or $35,000 worth of impact fees. And since there is no impact, there's also concern that we couldn't justify collecting an impact fee on a something like Cosmos, in which there is no impact because they're simply relocating. There is no impact to infrastructure or traffic because all that is just doing is shifting to another site.
Okay. So any other condemning entity aside from high-speed rail, would it be the same policy that they would not be required to pay these impact fees?
If they're moving just from one location to another location, we would not be collecting an impact fee because there is no impact. They either paid the impact fee once, or they were grandfathered, in other words, the infrastructure, or they were already there before the impact fee program was established. Now, if that property that they abandoned is subsequently sold by high-speed rail and developed, then when that happens, that owner will pay impact fees.
Okay. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Olivier.
So, I guess the first question I have is for staff and also city manager. You're talking about condemnation. Is there any other condemnation on the horizon? Is there any more eminent domain taking on the horizon besides what's scheduled with high-speed rail? I mean, is this organization planning on taking anything else that you can think of?
Our organization?
Yeah, the city.
We have nothing which would cause the relocation of a business.
Okay. It's like easements and stuff. For
easements, right-of-ways. I can tell you Caltrans is in the process of moving State Route 99 over. Mm-hmm. There may be some businesses that choose to relocate as a result of that. But again, the idea is that if they locate or relocate, they will locate into a existing property that already paid fees, and they already paid fees. And if Caltrans relinquishes that property and that property is subsequently developed, then that owner would pay impact fees for that new development on that site.
But if you're talking about, okay, so I'm just here's the point of what I'm trying to say. It seems unfair that the city, that the taxpayers of the city should have to bear the burden here.
No, I think the question is should somebody who's already paid impact fees or somebody who was grandfathered under the impact fee program pay impact fees again, given the fact that there is no impact?
No, and I agree with that. But so the way it is now, if they move, then we charge them impact fees.
No, it's
similar.
similar
What this does is it waives those impact fees when they move.
It's very similar to your infill.
Build Act, right?
Build Act. The property that they're moving to and the property they left, the property they're leaving already paid impact fees.
The property that they're leaving already paid impact fees.
So
right.
if you look at just they're going from one point to another location, there is no impact.
You just said that if and when a new business goes into the place where they vacated, that they have to pay impact fees.
Yes.
But you just said that they shouldn't have to pay impact fees because the impact fees have already been paid.
Let me. I apologize. Okay. I wasn't clear. When a business locates or relocates to another site, they will not pay an impact fee.
In their new site.
In their new site.
Right.
When someone comes back, if and when they develop at that site that they abandoned or left,
right.
Let's say Caltrans or High-Speed Rail Authority puts the land up for sale.
Right.
Someone buys that land and goes to develop on that land, right. They will pay an impact fee.
Okay. But did you not just say that the existing business paid an impact fee before? So basically, there is no impact if Caltrans comes in and tears down Bob's restaurant.
Yeah.
And Bob's restaurant moves to Clinton and Blackstone,
right.
Then Bob doesn't have to pay
That's correct.
Impact fee.
Right.
Okay. But the old site where Bob originally was, if a new business comes in for some reason, even though there had been an existing business there, we're going to charge impact fees to this Susie's Shoe Store.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to anybody, what I'm saying?
Go ahead, Lee. I'll let you take. I'm not doing a good job of explaining this.
Okay, it's really good point. But the old business moves,
right?
Who's prepaid the impact fees, is now going to a new location where the fees are waived. Okay, That's one use. And I'm looking like an accountant, you got a debit and a credit. Okay. So that one is square, the original tenant. Now you have a new person coming in, probably with a different use, right? So debit, credit, the thing balances out. That's my view of it. Is that correct?
So, okay, so even though that site was in use, and so impact fees, we're talking about police, fire, parks, street, and street light, right? So even though at that site that was condemned, those things exist, we're still going to charge the new business parks, police, fire, street, and street light.
It's a net new business.
So this guy is, you talk about credits and debits, the new business that comes in, should one ever come in, will be paying the impact fee for the guy who was moved out, basically.
Right.
So that's the credit and that's the debit.
One more clarification. The better answer to the question, let's assume that high-speed rail wasn't involved. Let's assume somebody just moved out of their property. Okay. They're gone. It got torn down. It's a vacant lot. Somebody new comes in. Would then that new business pay the impact fees?
No.
No.
Well, then I understand Clint's point then, if that's what you're saying. Because that would be the same scenario without the condemnation, right?
So, so what I'm assuming is that, and it's probably doubtful that if the rail authority takes the property that Bob's Restaurant was on, odds are they're going to use it.
Right.
We're just talking about in the like in the case of Martin Ray Riley, where I guess Caltrans sold that land back to the man who gave us the property for the park. So it's going to be a remote case that the authority takes and doesn't use, and then sells it off to somebody who opens something there. But we're talking about prime real estate. This is the heart of our city's commercial corridor with rail and transportation. So it's going to be valuable one day. I would be more inclined to support this if it would be also a fee waiver for any new business that comes in on the off chance
On the
that
property
that
that's
happens.
abandoned by or condemned by the high-speed rail authority or by other public agency?
Yes. Okay.
Well, let me say this. There seems to be certainly a little confusion. Is it okay? Is this time sensitive?
No.
Bruce? Can we continue this and then maybe Councilmember Olivier and even possibly Councilmember Soria can get a few questions answered?
Yeah.
And maybe we bring this back when there's a little more clarity?
That works.
Is that okay with you, Councilmember?
That'd be great.
Okay. Is that okay with you, Councilmember? Okay. Can we just continue it? Is it really clear? Okay,
I'd be interested in hearing what he said.
So I think the solution really is a policy change. I would recommend that you consider extending the BUILD Act, same principles. Yours primarily on same principles, right? That would be clarified on these condemnation deals. That might be one way to look at it. Because in truth, the impact fees have been paid. There's already a police substation, a fire substation. All those things are there. So I would say it's a policy change, and that's my recommendation.
Thank you.
All right. City Attorney, do we need a motion to continue this item? How should we do this?
Yes.
So, okay, we have a motion and a second to continue this item to March 26th meeting?
Yeah.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Items continued. Moving on to item 2C, we're amending section 1-407 of the Fresno Municipal Code to require the advance deposit of fines at the time of filing an administrative appeal. Oh, Renee, you're presenting?
Good morning, Council President, Council. The item before you and what staff is recommending is that you propose the amendment to the Fresno Municipal Code requiring the payment of applicable fines at the time of a filing of notice of appeal is submitted, and the addition of steps to allow for the qualification of a hardship waiver. So basically what we're doing is we are trying to clarify our FMC here and the process related to the hearings. We do have the ability for the director of the department issuing the citations to be able to waive the deposits once the recipient shows that conditions of hardship and those conditions are similar to those that are necessary for a waiver of fees in our state court system. So, thank you.
We'll now take the item out to the public. Do we have any members of the public wishing to comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the dais. Councilmember Soria.
For individuals that have a fee of less than 200, they wouldn't have the ability, even though they may be unable to pay. I just want to be able to understand kind of the structure, because as I understand, the waiver provision would only apply for fees of 200 or greater. So what if we have an individual in our community that is unable to pay, but theirs is $150? And we're attempting to remove any discretion from the hearing officer. So I would have a concern with that. How do we deal with someone that comes before us that is significantly disadvantaged and can't pay for it when we're removing discretion?
Mr. Sloan can weigh in. The challenge that we have is that we continue to accrue administrative costs as well as penalties that are outlined in the Fresno Municipal Code. And this amendment was discussed as a result of the ongoing challenges, and what has been happening is reductions being made without any real basis for these reductions to be made. There's no consideration, and therefore there's no consistency. So this is being brought before the council as a policy item, in that there is some discretion as far as the hearing officer when it comes to determine whether or not they did or didn't violate the municipal code or building codes, but they do not have or would not have the ability to reduce the fines. They would have the ability to agree to a payment plan, but that would be about it. And Mr. Sloan, is that pretty much cover all of it?
Yes, and I suppose you could adjust the amount of the $200. I think the thinking there was that this is where the fine would have to be paid sooner or later, assuming that the appeal is not upheld. And the idea was to pick an amount where it wouldn't result in so many hardship applications for the smaller amounts that the director would be overwhelmed with those, but that amount could be adjusted. Also, we could possibly provide for a payment plan, because that's what they do in Superior Court, $50 a month or something like that could be added in there in lieu of simply not doing the hardship waiver for $200 or less.
For me, I would feel much more comfortable if we had, some type of provision to be able to allow individuals to appeal if they have under 200. So I don't know how we adjust, what would be the recommendation in terms of adjusting it.
Well, they can appeal now if it's less than $200. This is related to the ability to file the fees.
The hardship waiver, yes.
The hardship waiver.
Everyone can appeal if they first pay what the anticipated fine is. The question is, do they have to pay first or get the hardship waiver?
But I guess in terms, so what would be the policy in with the hardship waiver? Can you clarify that?
Well, right now, anyone could apply for a hardship waiver for those fines that are anticipated to be more than $200. But the thinking was there could be a flood of requests on the director for those fines that are less than $200. And I think the thinking was that if you're a property owner, if you're managing a property, you should be able to come up with the $200 to pay that potential fine. But this is a policy decision. You could put whatever amount in there that you want to.
Okay. I feel that, there may be some individuals in our community that wouldn't even be able to afford the $200. And so I think they should have the opportunity for a hardship waiver. I've only been sitting here for a few weeks, and I've seen that we waive impact fees and all these other fees. And so when we're talking about low-income people, I think that they should be able to have the opportunity to at least go after a hardship waiver, regardless of it being over 200 or not.
You could either suggest a smaller amount of a threshold or provide for a payment plan of maybe $50 a month or more.
So I suggest we look to a payment plan. So that would be one option.
We can do that.
You can make an amendment.
Okay, so I'd like to make an amendment to add an additional, the ability to go for a payment plan for these individuals.
We can write that up and bring it when it comes back for adoption. This is just introduction. When it comes back for adoption, we can have that language in there.
Okay.
All right, there's been a motion. I'll second that. Councilmember Olivier?
I just had a question about fee. Does this have something to do with the fee recovery? I mean, is it anticipated we're going to recover more if we change this?
No, actually, it's just a matter of when a person files for the appeal, having those fees paid up front, rather than having a lot of filings and no-shows, and then the whole administrative process, is followed up until the date of the hearing, and then there's a no-show, and we're losing funds that way.
Administratively.
But administrative funds.
Okay.
And if the customer prevails on the appeal, they will get this money back.
What percentage of the time does the resident prevail in a hearing?
I'll have to get you those statistics, but it a lot of times it depends on the case that's presented by our staff, as far as the packets that are presented, and whether or not,
Okay. Thank you. Council President, what was the motion?
The Councilmember Soria asked that there be a payment plan for people that may have trouble paying a one-time $200 cost, so they'd be allowed to make that $200 threshold in payments.
So they get on the payment plan and then they have access to a hearing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Are you finished? Oh, okay. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Item passes 7-0. Thank you, staff. We will now move on to item 2D. We'll be amending subsection D of the Fresno Municipal Code, section 1-506 of Article 5, to require the confirmation costs by the hearing officer. I think this is you again, Renee.
Yes, thank you. And again, this item is for introduction today, and what we are recommending is that the City Council adopt the proposed amendment to the Fresno Municipal Code, subsection D of section 1-506, requiring the administrative hearing officer to confirm the city's costs at the public hearing if there is sufficient evidence, and the costs, he must conform to what the penalties are. Currently, the hearing officer is allowed to reduce costs that include abatement costs, enforcement costs, or penalties if he or she determines that the costs were unnecessary or unreasonable. This amendment eliminates that standard and only allows for the administrative hearing officer to reduce when there is a finding based on evidence that the costs were not actually incurred or are illegal. So again, this is just a mechanism for us to be able to further clarify the rules and regulations and the procedures for the hearing officer.
All right, thank you, Renee. We'll now take this item out to the public. Do we have any members of the public wishing to comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the dais. We don't have any council members punched up. I'll make a very brief comment on it then. I think this particular bill makes a little bit of sense because the cost that we incur or the costs associated with a code violation or these types of violations typically are hard costs for us. So I know we had a situation where hearing officers were to some degree arbitrarily reducing cost that weren't necessarily allowing us to cover our hard costs. So I think that there's some logic in this. So I'll make a motion that we approve this item. Councilmember Olivier.
So this, basically, if we have someone before the hearing officer who's very contrite and sorry, and they've removed their yard car, or they've corrected the situation that they were cited for, and they come and they throw themselves on the mercy of the hearing officer, and they produce pictures that show that they've cleaned up their yard, they've cut down the weeds, whatever they were cited for. This will, currently a hearing officer can say, hey, it's corrected, it's all good, pay $50 on your way out, or you know what, it's waived. So the hearing officer now has discretion with the citizen. This effectively removes that discretion, correct? And the hearing officer must charge what comes over on the fees, like the penalties.
Right, and we were finding circumstances where it's actually the city is going out and incurring the cost to do the cleanup or to abate the situation. And so it's those hard costs that this regulation will require that the hearing officer, unless they can show that the city didn't incur those costs, then they can no longer reduce.
So this is, I guess so if city time and resources are used to correct the situation, this is saying that the hearing officer must recover those costs so that there's no loss to this organization.
Correct.
Okay. What would be the unintended consequences, perhaps, of this, of taking away that flexibility? What have you looked at any unintended consequences, whereas maybe a retired person who we went and cleaned up their yard or something, and they can't afford to pay it? And I mean, because it's so rigid and it's so absolute, I'm concerned about cases where someone who wants to do the right thing gets caught up in this, and then they're harmed by it. I mean, obviously the taxpayer's harmed anytime the city has to clean up somebody else's private property. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like is it?
Well, again,
can this be done without making it so absolute? Because I think that there will be unintended consequences. Someone will be hurt by it.
Well, I'll defer to the city attorney on the absoluteness piece of it, but if the individual is outside of the code on their property, then certainly the departments will work with them on a payment plan to make sure that whatever needs to be done that corrected the situation, that there is a payment plan for that recovery.
Okay. Well, my last question is this geared towards our big problems, or people, retired guy in a single family house with a big stack of tires on the side that just won't have the tires hauled off, or whatever it is? I mean, is this geared for the big fish, or the little fish, or all?
Well, this is geared towards property owners who are unwilling, or for whatever reason are not maintaining their property. So whether it's somebody who's got a stack of tires, I'd hate to live next door to somebody with a stack of tires who has been told or has been advised that he or she needs to get rid of the tires, and they still don't get rid of the tires. At some point, the staff, and I think our staff has demonstrated, and you've worked with our staff, that they will try to find a way to resolve these issues prior to just issuing citations. That's not how we work, and I hope we all appreciate the extra mile that staff goes to get people to address concerns that are being conveyed to us most of the time by their neighbors, and complaints about how these different activities or the lack of maintenance is driving down the property values of those people who are, or those property owners who are adjacent to these locations. So it isn't that we're trying to target anybody. We're trying to address issues in our community which are causing blight and which are causing property values within a lot of our older neighborhoods to they're being negatively impacted, and this is the way we unfortunately are trying to address a problem in which people just don't seem to think that we are serious at times about getting them to abate issues that are impacting their neighbors.
I don't disagree with anything you said, City Manager. I'm just concerned about good people that make a mistake and try to make it right, and then the hearing officer doesn't have any leeway to, get to say, hey, can we? Is this what a hearing officer does? Says, can we just call it $100 and it's even to get it off the books and move on? Would one of the unintended consequences be the fines, because the hearing officer loses the ability to just negotiate the fee down, that we may see a backlog or a glut of fees that people just can't pay because they're too high because of the rigidity of what we're about to vote on? And anybody, city attorney or?
Well, I would like to note that I think the concept is that the hearing officer's job is to make a finding whether or not these costs were actually incurred by the city, and if so, award the city those costs. The city manager always has discretion to enter into agreements or arrangements with a property owner to reduce fees in exchange for seeing that work is done and so forth, up to $100,000, which covers almost all of our situations. So we still have that level of discretion that's available.
Out of 10 cases like this, how many of them are handled by your staff before they go to the hearing officer for a dramatic judgment on the person? How many out of 100 of these, how many are resolved before the hearing under the current system?
Well, I think as the city manager has stated, even before it gets to the hearing officer or the citation level, staff is working with the individuals to try to get them to conform. Once the citation is issued, they typically will run through the process of going to the hearing officer and finding out what the judgment is. And if they are not in agreement with that, then they will probably contact their council member or our office, and we may intercede. If they make that contact prior to it going to the hearing officer, we certainly will take that call and listen to their concerns. But typically it runs through the process.
I would venture to say that the vast majority of all of our code issues are dealt with before they even get to a hearing officer. Most people, we can get voluntary compliance. It is once in a while we have to do what we have to do in order to get somebody's attention.
Thank you, City Manager and Assistant City Manager. I appreciate it. Council colleagues, I'd be interested in hearing what you have to say on this one, but I think that I want to hear what others have to say on this.
Okay, I have City Attorney. I know you jumped in and made a comment. Was that the comment you want to make? If not, I'm going to allow you to make some.
Yes.
Okay, Councilmember Soria.
I also share some of the concerns that my colleague, Mr. Olivier, just pointed out. Is there any way that we can maybe have an income threshold so that there's still discretion, so it's not so absolute, so that our hearing officer would have discretion if the person makes below, maybe that makes gives a little bit wiggle room when we do have cases of severely disadvantaged individuals in some instances. So is there a way that we can?
You can make an amendment to do that.
I don't know what the threshold, I guess, would be, but do you have a comment?
Well, I do. May I? Go right ahead.
So point of clarification, so what you're requesting is that if an individual is below a certain income level, that they would not be required to pay the penalty?
So I would say that if a person is below a certain income level, there would be discretion. The officer would have discretion to do a reduction of fee or to waive. So right now, the policy is that there's discretion, correct?
Correct.
So I would say that we should still the officer should have discretion in instances where people are under the poverty level or something like that, setting a threshold. That's where I would feel comfortable.
All right, so I didn't hear any, Councilmember Olivier.
Thank you, Council President. My question is there a motion?
So I was just about to clarify, we don't have a motion on the floor for this item, and we don't have an amendment to the staff's recommendation either.
If someone makes a motion at that time, I would like to suggest a change to the program.
You're well within your rights to do that, Councilmember.
Okay, then I don't want to make the motion, but I might have some constructive ideas if somebody does make a motion on this.
Okay, so let me say a few things and see if we can bring this item to a close as best we can. So I want to certainly share in the spirit of my colleagues that are worried about taking discretion away from the hearing officer, especially for those folks that, as Councilmember Olivier dramatically put, would throw themselves in front of the hearing officer. But I want to make sure that we're kind of framing this discussion properly, and I'm not so sure that we have. So this is the end of a process, first of all, where a person has been given multiple opportunities to work with our staff. And typically this is for a person that is refused to be complicit. So after multiple opportunities, after, first a warning letter, after opportunities to make amends, even after opportunities to correct the violation, if I'm understanding this correctly, they have opportunities to not only correct the violation before there's ever a fine, but there also staff would be working with them. So we're kind of talking about the very end of a process, not necessarily the beginning, where a person has had the opportunity to correct the violation. The problem that I have with giving the hearing officer too much discretion is we incur hard costs. So when this person has failed to comply after several methods of outreach, they arrive at a hearing officer at a hearing. If in fact we have incurred hard costs and the person hasn't cleaned them up, then I'm not exactly sure I'm supportive of some finding less than that. I'm not sure where I would see the rationale with that when the person has had multiple opportunities. So I actually am going to be supportive of staff's recommendation today. If we in fact find that we have some severe issues with people not being able to play, well, hopefully people will comply with the first warning and the second warning. Bruce, how many warnings did they get before we even get to this point? Do you know?
At least two.
Two?
Yeah, at least two.
And that's before we even put a fine, and then after, that's just moving into the fine process. So I think that the policymaking body needs to probably get pretty serious about wanting to clean up our neighborhoods, and we need to start sending some strong messages to people that we're serious about cleaning up our neighborhoods, that we mean business. We are going to work with you. We have many mechanisms and tools in place to do that. But I think if this process has been exhausted, then the hard costs that we incur should be recovered. So I'll make a motion to accept staff's recommendation as it is.
Second.
All right, Councilmember Brand.
On this item, isn't one of the major points of contention, that one of the major problems that the city has is dealing with slumlords? That this process is used and continues and nothing's being done?
We certainly have that issue, yes.
Okay, 'cause I know that's a discussion out in the community right now. And I know in past conversations with the city attorney and the city manager that that's been one of the issues, that the process we use is slow and very encumbered and basically not very effective. Would that be a fair statement?
That's fair, yes.
So in your amendment, you're trying to free up the city in the process to give more latitude. Is that correct?
Yeah, and to make sure that we are recovering the hard costs associated with coming into compliance.
Okay, so I certainly understand Member Olivier, his deal, but this is a scourge on this city that I think we, as a council, need to show as much support as possible. Is our maker here? Is Oliver? Is
He stepped out.
Okay. I'd like to ask him, in fairness to some of the concerns raised by Member Olivier, ask him if he'd put an amendment to this ordinance and make it a one-year pilot. Let's come back 1 year from now and reevaluate it. I think that way we could see if it does have unintended consequences, and hopefully, in my opinion, I think it would work out well, and we need as a council to start working on these items that give our staff and the appropriate enforcement people the tools and the ability and the authority to handle these kind of issues. So when Oliver gets back, I'd like to, again, ask him, yes, come on, as he, Member Baines, I just mentioned that I thought this embraces a lot of the slumlord stuff that's going on out there, and giving the city staff some more latitude to get these things done and do the action that's necessary. So in recognition of some of the things that Member Olivier has said, would you amend your motion to make this a one-year pilot program to be reviewed 1 year from now?
Sure, I could be enticed to add it as a pilot provision.
Okay, that's my, so you would do that then? Okay.
Sure.
Who's your second?
Here.
Is that okay?
Is that okay, Councilmember Capriello? Okay,
Yes.
so I'll amend the motion to make it a one-year pilot with an annual report as to the findings. Councilmember Capriello.
I appreciate all the comments on this issue. It's sort of taken a life of its own. I'm not sure why. But I agree with the comments by you, Council President, and Councilmember Brand. And I think what we've forgotten here is that the discretion that everyone seems to be, not everyone, but those that are concerned with it, rests with the city manager. So this could be, it's not all or nothing at that lower level. There's always that option. And it's clear to me that this is a functioning that we need to incorporate because of some issues that have come up in the past. So we fixed it with this motion. So my second is there, and I support that motion by Council President strongly.
Councilmember Soria.
I just want to make a final comment. I'm not going to be voting for this because even though I understand that it is important for us to go recover costs, I do believe that we still need some wiggle room. And so today, I don't feel comfortable just absolutely getting completely rid of discretion. I think that there should be some discretion when we're talking about low income individuals, because I'm not even asking that we should completely eliminate the fees, but at least discretion to reduce. That's where I would feel comfortable. So I'm going to be voting no today.
Councilmember Brandow.
Well, unfortunately, to me, it seems like we're starting to pit departments of our city against each other. We're out spending hard money on, we send out a code enforcement team, and then they analyze the situation, they report back to us. We tell the people what they need to do to fix the problem. They don't do it, we have to come in and do it. We spend money. And then today we're debating whether that whole process is whether they're taking it seriously or whether it's valid. And then we ask a judge that there's then we're asking somebody to step in and waive fees or waive off a problem that we've already spent the money on. Now, is that right, Renee? This is stuff we've already spent the money on oftentimes.
Right.
Okay, so the money's already been spent. Now it all comes down to who's going to pay this money, the person responsible or the rest of our community. That's all this is. To me, it's a redistribution program. So I support the original measure that we don't have, I do respect when somebody needs to pay the city $200 or $2,000, that we allow them to be put on a schedule. I don't have a problem with that, okay? But I do have a problem with saying, no, we're going to forgive your $2,000 debt and we're going to give $1 of it to everybody else in town and let everybody else in town pay that. So I'm not going to be supporting the one-year pilot program. I would be supporting the original measure that puts a little bit of framework upon the arbitration of, this process. So, anyway, that's where I'm at on this.
Councilmember Olivier.
Council President, as part of the motion, is part of the motion is a payment plan?
We already voted on that in the
Okay,
previous
so that was
item.
previous item. Okay,
Yes,
fine. All
Councilman.
right, thank you.
Okay, so let me see if I can clarify a couple things from the last couple comments. First, for council members, do you want to talk now?
Yeah, I want to throw something else in there.
Okay.
We're all singing and dancing around a problem here. And the city attorney works for the council. It's one of the few departments that is. The arbiter, the reason we're here today is because the person in charge of overseeing these code enforcement operations does a real sketchy job at it. And I'm a city councilman, so I can say it. And that doesn't have to put anybody else on the spot. But we're having, the process is not working at the level of that one little office right there. And that's why we're here today, but other people don't want to say that. So what's happening is, a lot of times this person is saying, okay, you don't have to pay your fine, you don't have to pay your fine, you do have to pay your fine, you do have to pay yours, you don't have to pay yours. And there's no framework. The city's losing money on this type of operation, and it needs to end. We need to collect the money that we've already spent. It's not fair to roll that on the backs of other ratepayers, which certainly is what will happen. So that's what I wanted to say.
All right. So I'm going to, exercise my prerogative as council president to allow that to be the last comment on this issue, other than mine. So just a couple of quick comments for my colleagues. First, kind of the council members Olivier and Soria. I want to, remind you both mentioned about discretion and the discretion being taken away. I think we've adequately addressed the fact that that's not the case. So there's still quite a bit of discretion in the entire process. So I think that we got to be careful on framing it like that, because there's considerable discretion. What we're trying to do is stop a hearing officer from arbitrarily reducing fees. We're going to close it down, council member, I'm sorry. But we're trying to stop a hearing officer from arbitrarily reducing fees, and which was happening for a very long time. So the discretion still exists. We never gave it away. We just put some more parameters on this particular individual. And to Councilmember Brandow, not supporting a pilot program, I think that we are doing every effort we can to work together and be collegial. And I think it's okay to allow this to be in a pilot form, because it's something new, and we typically do that whenever we do something a little bit new, to bring it back for an update. Doesn't mean we're going to change anything, but I think it's a pretty good practice that we've adopted here, to allow things to take on the form of a pilot when they're new, and when there's a little controversy surrounding it, so that it has the opportunity to come back and we can vet it later and make appropriate discussions. Did you all not listen? I said that I was making the final comments. Yes, you guys are just... So we're going to vote right now on the motion and the amendment that I made. So we'll vote electronically, because it may not in fact pass in this form. I don't know. So we'll vote electronically, council members. The motion is to accept staff's recommendation, and it was thus amended to allow this to come back in 1 year and to frame this as a pilot program. The item passes 4-3 with council members Brandow, Olivier, and Soria voting no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, staff. Sorry, guys. I know I had Clinton Lee still chimed up, but we needed to vote on this. So we have a couple more items left today. We have our closed session, but before then, we're going to have an appearance by Cardoza Tucker and Jana Kelly the Way of Life Sports Foundations. So whomever's going to talk, you have 3 minutes.
Once again, thanks, Council, for letting me be up here, but we have a couple of concerns with our park over at Al Raqqa, where we've been for the last 2 years. A couple things, a little bit about our foundation is we give opportunity for those of all kind of disabilities, things of that nature, to get involved with sports. We also work closely with the inner city groups in the East and West Fresno. Our care and maintenance for the park, we've been there for a while. We upgraded the baseball fields, we added in mounds, we brought back life and things of that nature to the park. We added our special needs league, our traveling baseball team, our Fresno East Cal Ripken. We have football, soccer, and other various activities. That's a little bit of what we've done at the park. Now, one of the problems is our scheduling structure. We're more open with everybody to talk about the park and get scheduling done and everything like that so we can all benefit from the park. And this is one of many parks that we like to work with. Some incidents there that I try to bring to the attention of Manuel Maldonado and things of that nature with Sean Schaefer with the sprinkler problems we have at the park. I've been trying to negotiate with them to get things done for a while, yet nothing's done. No lights in the bathroom, sprinklers are broken, and it was alleged that I turned on sprinklers on people, which I have problems, and I have pictures and things too, which I'll give all the council members a report next week. Also, gate fee. That was a problem, we're charging gate fee. Like I said, Maldonado and them, we met. They said that I'm allowed to do gate fee if we gave them 30% of what we make on that profit. Another one is, what was the other thing? Parking on the fields. It was through emails, it was up to me that I gave them to put up barricades to stop people from parking on the fields, because we're here to play baseball. I didn't feel like it was my responsibility to stop people and what I'm doing, interacting with the kids, stop people up, pulling up there on the fields. Another thing, I know that the Parks Department was in shambles the last few years, and we have no problem with moving to other parks. But these parks with the new budget has to be up to code and up to par, okay? Another thing, we'd like to stay in East Fresno because that's our boundaries to Cal Ripken. Also, I say that Sal Quintero, you wasn't aware of our special needs programs where we reached out to you numerous times, never heard nothing back. But yeah, like I said, through emails, we'll get there. But other than that, we solve a solution to the problem. We can work together on this. We get most of the other parks up to code, especially with our special needs programs, things of that nature. And I'll let Jana speak on my behalf.
I'm Jana Keeley, so I'm the Vice President of Way of Life Sports
Hold
Foundation.
on 1 second. You all get 3 minutes, so we need reset. Thank you.
My name is Jana, and I'm the Vice President of Way of Life Sports Foundation, but I'm also the Special Needs Coordinator. My concern for our group is the fact that we have been asked to vacate Al Raqqa Park, and we have many athletes that are feeling safe at that park, and you guys are wanting to uproot us. I mean, I think it's much more work to move my group rather than it is to move the other group that wants to come in to a separate park. The 4 parks that were offered to us, like Fresno East Rotary, it's a basin. How am I going to get my wheelchair athletes down in the basin to play baseball? Another park was Einstein Park, I believe, and the bathrooms have urinals. Where's my wheelchair-bound athletes how are they going to utilize the restrooms? There's no lights, there's this and that. Al Raqqa Park sits back from the street. The baseball fields are fenced in because a lot of our athletes have autism. They run. Al Raqqa is a safe place for us. All the other parks that you guys want to send us to, not accessible, and they are not going to protect our athletes with those with disabilities, and that's my concern. I just want to introduce Jennifer, who's part of our staff, and she works with those with the disabilities. So.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Reeves. I'm a teacher for Clovis Unified and a behavior consultant for children with autism. And I'm just here today to say that we've worked really hard to do a pilot program and bring a lot of special needs kids into this. This is an opportunity that they don't readily have. It's very hard for families to find a place where their children feel safe. And we've established that trust and that rapport with these families and got them out there. We ran a fantastic pilot program. We have plenty of things in the works, and right now I have to make a phone call and tell all of these parents, we don't have a place for you because we can't get your wheelchair there, or it's not safe for you to bring your child here because they may run out into the street. And so I guess I'm just here asking that if you do move us, at least make sure that we have a place that is handicap accessible, because right now the 4 options that we've been given are not that for us. And then the one other question that I had, just from being someone that's listened to everything presented, is I'm just wondering, has this issue already been voted on, and is there nothing that we can do to change it? And furthermore, who or how did Sunnyside specifically become the people that are taking this park from us?
And CC Baseball Academy.
And CC Baseball Academy.
Anyways, go ahead, Mario. You speak.
Hi, my name is Mario. I run Poison Beauty Softball. We're a joint venture with us. I really want to thank Councilor Soria and all over here. Just watching, you guys are just phenomenal. You guys are challenging, and just want to bring things to light. Hey, sometimes it's not fair, so let's do it right. And that's what I'm asking here. I see Chief Jerry Dyer here. You know, I've been on the news a couple times. You know, I pulled over out of nowhere, and I gave CPR to a gentleman I've never met before. I don't know if you guys ever saw that in the news, but you know, I do this for the community. I do this for the girls, you know, and I deal with the girls. And at that Rotary Park, I've had to pay bums. Excuse me, I don't have the proper term. Can you just let me do my practice with my girls and then come back? Or I had to chase people off doing a little meth there at that Rotary Park. It's just not safe, you know. And I got parents, and we know that our counterparts up in the north side, you know, they have the facilities, they have all that, and it feels safe. And that Al Radka Park, quite frankly, it's a gym to have, and to have people feel safe and do what you got to do, and you don't have to worry about your car getting broken into. You don't have to worry about, oh, who's watching, who's not watching. Is there any, you know? So, you know, we're just trying to establish something and, you know, properly produce a, you know, a power in Fresno, because quite frankly, Fresno's not really represented well in youth sports. It's always going up to the north. It's always going up to the north. You know what I mean? So we're trying to establish that here and just be you know, have longevity in what we got going on, not just have it stripped from us. So thank you for your time. Thanks, Oliver. And sorry, I really was impressed to see you guys. Thank you.
Can I just say one more thing? Or no? Am I done?
Yeah, you are. Thank you.
City Council, thanks for having me. My name's Freddie. First of all, I should say thank you for having us. Let me speak. I've been at that park the last 10 years, okay? I've been there when nobody cared about the park. Yeah, it has lights, okay? I've been a coach there. I've been a mentor. We've just basically started something new. The last 2 years have started really something good in that community area, and now we're part of it. I'm a part of it. Before the 10 years, before I got with these guys, the organization, I was a nobody. I was out there coaching, you know, with my own stuff, my own gear, my own baseballs. I furnished all the kids gloves, you know. I love being out there, and the fact that somebody wants to come in there and take that, it offends me, because I've been there since kind of like day one. I've taken care of the field when the city wouldn't put sprinklers in. We put stuff in the dugouts for bats, as well as for safety for the kids. We've even opened up a concession stand that basically was like nobody cared about, or even, you know, opened it up. I like being a part of something, and I feel that this is, you know, something to be good. It can be good, you know, if the decision has been made already that you guys, you know, voted on, took it away.
Let me just clarify, there's been no decision
Okay.
and most of us aren't familiar with any decision that we're going to make on your behalf, so.
Okay, I appreciate that. But I'm just here for the kids, okay? If you guys was to go out there and see the kids, you know, most of them come from poor families, okay? We're not charging a lot to play baseball at that park. We can tell you right now, we're probably the lowest to charge in the city. Everybody is charging, you know, $100, we're charging 40. We just want the kids to come back and play baseball. We got 100 kids, you know, and hopefully we're going to get bigger, and we are, you know, but just word of mouth. So thank you for your time.
Councilman and Councilwoman, thank you for having me up here. I'm Darrell Noam II. I grew up in that area, southeast side Fresno, and I've never seen so much poverty in my life. And last year, 2013, I believe in Mr. Quintero's district, that we brought back baseball. That was gone for about between 30 and 60 years. And we've had a huge group of kids come out from last year and also from this year as well. Before we had that park, there was a lot of incidents that were going on. Homelessness was out there, drugs, alcohol was out there, and so on and so forth. Since we took over that park, we have brought back life into that community. We now have a lot of families, single parents, huge families come out to our park. We've really done what we can for the community in that area. And coming from a single mother, it was hard for her to supply baseball practice with me by taking me to practice, so forth and so forth. So with that park being close to a lot of our kids that grew up in that area, that lives in that area, I don't think it's correct. I don't think it's appropriate for our park to be taken away for another company or another organization that I would not say at all. Thank you for your time, and have a good day.
We're done here. Also, Paul. Okay. I got a business plan about Granite Park that I'll drop off packets to everybody at your offices next week about my
I'm sorry, Cardozo. We've been really lenient. If we have another speaker, we'll allow her to speak. Thank you.
Council members, I am a mother of a special need child. Before Way of Life and the park came into our life, my son was uncontrollable. We are through CBRC. Through them, we got Genesis. Through Genesis, we got Way of Life. My son, before all this, as on record, as Officer Dreyer knows, is what we call a Houdini and a runner. He is on record as that. This has brought so much happiness to my child. It's given him something else to do. It's got his mind off of his disabilities. His isn't the only one. We've got a lot of special children from Addicott School, where my son is at. They come out in wheelchairs, crutches. Believe me, you'd have to see the pleasure on these kids. This is something for them. You move us, it's harder for them. They cannot understand the change. Why are they being punished? That's what's going through their minds. They think everything is on them because they're different. If any of you are a parent of a special need child, you know the hurt that you see in these kids. You can't help but feel for them. Now, I'm a parent and a grandparent. In other words, the child I'm talking about is my grandchild of my daughter, who is in Missouri. I have an older child that has a heart problem that is also considered a special need. What are we to do? I mean, I didn't know there was programs for my children until Genesis, CBRC, and Way of Life. Please, don't put the children through this. This is their part. They have put a lot into this. They go through a lot. I don't know how many more parents that can stand behind me and let you all know what it's like. I see the parents out there at the park. They are happy to see their children happy. Sure, some of them in wheelchairs can't do it themselves. Their brothers and sisters are out there with them. They're going through all of this with them. Their parents, their grandparents, their aunts, uncles, cousins. But yeah, you take this park and they have to be moved to another park, that's a change that's going to take these kids backwards instead of forwards. I'm sorry.
Thank you. All right, and I'll just make some final comments for you all to work with staff. I mean, we have obviously the city manager, parks director for you all to work with, and I know you have opportunity to work with a council member in the district that the park is in. So thank you all. We'll now take any other.
Very quickly, Council President, I've already talked to our Parks Director. We have, and this council has approved, and I would ask this group to stay, if you would listen for a minute, maybe not. We will have a brand-new universal accessible park that is under construction as of now, which it's designed to meet the needs of children with special needs, including a baseball field. And so I would ask Manuel if you would work with the group, because we need to establish a league. It is designed, the field is designed, it is state-of-the-art, and we will work with you to potentially locate your program at that universal accessible park, brand new. It'll be operation up, we believe construction will be completed by this year, so it'll be ready for next season.
Can I ask what we do in the meantime?
You have a reservation for this season, my understanding, so you'll be able to have your program this year, and next year you can have it at Universal Accessible Park.
All right, I'm going to just say, can you guys work with our parks director right there? I don't want to get into too much back and forth from the dais, but we have the parks director right there, and Bruce, if you want to step down, you can chat with him. Thank you. Now we'll take any other unscheduled communication. If you have anything you want to talk about that was not on the calendar today, please come forward.
Hello, my name's Sean Hammond. I wanted to talk about the parking enforcement. Just a simple parking ticket that I got that I found rather inappropriate. I was parked in the library parking lot at 9 o'clock in the morning for 15 minutes, received a ticket, went out, asked the officer why, because he was still there. He said, because this is a library parking lot, you can't park here and go anywhere else. I took a picture of the sign in front of the parking lot that clearly states it's library parking only from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I'm wanting to just find out what the deal is on that.
Wait for him to, Dell? Okay. Well, if you give us just a moment, when we get down here, we'll refer you to the right person to discuss this. If you wait just a moment, when we're about to adjourn our meeting, if you sit right there, we'll get you in contact with the right staff person to take care of that. Thank you. Do we have any other members of the public that would like to address the council today? All right, we now close unscheduled communication. Doug, can you report on our closed session items?
Yes, we have two items. The first is Cade versus City of Fresno, existing litigation, and the second is pursuant to the special meeting notice yesterday, real property negotiation concerning the listed APNs with Bruce Rudd and TFS Investments as the negotiating parties. I would not expect any announcement after the closed session.
Thank you.